O'Reilly.com/bill. Code Bill10.
That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch with your first alert forecast. We have issued a first alert weather day as we see the potential for strong winds gusting anywhere to 40 to 50 miles per hour throughout the morning to early afternoon hours today. Then we're going to be seeing mostly cloudy skies. Temperatures continue to fall through the afternoon hours as winds continue out of the northwest, starting to die off. Into Thursday, looking mostly cloudy. Could see some light snow off to the northeast. Most of that going to be staying out of the metro, not looking at any impacts for roadways. And we're cooling into the weekend. From the First Alert for Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch.
All the cool people are listening to Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL. So, congratulations.
Bad decisions have bad consequences. That's just a rule of life, right? Well, that includes politics. We touched on this a little bit on Tuesday's show. Bad decisions by the wrong people literally drive people away from your community. That drives out economic activity, that affects everything. And that's what we're seeing on a national level. A little bit later on today, our friends from the National Taxpayers Union just looked at the facts and said, why are people moving from one place and going to the other? Because the policy matters. You don't have to be a political wonk to figure that out. That's why electing the right people matters a lot. Hey, good morning. Mike Ferguson here. All right, one of the big political stories this week. I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh, but I am. Jasmine Crockett thinks that she should be a United States Senator. Yeah, well, the one and only Tony Kennett from the Daily Signal hopped on with us on Tuesday's show to give us his take on that. And here's what he had to say. Let me get your reaction to part of her speech last night, Tony, because clearly she wants to be the Texas AOC. You know, she wants to be the Texas Cori Bush. Of course, the only variable there is she's in, Texas. Yeah. So here's part of what she had to say.
We'll begin on day one fighting to lower costs, deliver on healthcare, make home ownership and entrepreneurship accessible to all, and hold Trump accountable.
There it is. Orange man bad.
Yeah, we got the big four. And what I really love about the big four is that she's currently in the House of Representatives and has done none of those things. She's in the House that's supposed to hold Trump accountable. She's done nothing. She's in the House that has the power of the purse that's supposed to make things affordable. She's done nothing. She's in the House of Representatives that has the constitutional authority to do all of the four things that she's listed. She's never passed a bill. She's more useless than an Ohio State football team in a 2025 Big Ten championship. I mean, my goodness. It's hilarious to watch her flounder around like a dead fish and then try to tell you the smell is enchanting. I mean, at some point you've got to ask, and by the way, for the record, this isn't even the worst part of her campaign. Mm-hmm. Like her policies, she actually thinks that running an out-of-the-box celebrity-style focused campaign is the move to win Texas. She does know that Colin Allred of the former Tennessee Titans and Beto O'Rourke got bent over and spanked in Senate elections doing that exact same thing in Texas, right? Right? It's not just me.
But she did dance on TikTok.
Oh, and she hired a rapper. Did you see that guy at her campaign event?
I heard about it.
In his first verse, I kid you not, he says, and I quote, "I can't rap." Just
so I could be a rapper.
Yeah, I mean, well, you have, too much financial success and I would say good parentage to probably get into such things. So the best you're going to get is probably maybe a guest spot on the next Hamilton Broadway knockoff.
Oh, one can only dream, Tony.
I'd go to see you on Hamilton, man. That'd be hilarious.
Oh, man. So here's the interesting thing is obviously the primaries are all up in the air. Democrats and Republicans both, because, I mean, let's be honest, there's some, it's not assumed that John Cornyn is going to continue to be the nominee for his own seat come March because there's a knockdown drag out. Is there any situation where Republicans could beat themselves up enough or Republicans have apathy during an off-year election, Democrats have a little bit of momentum? Is there a parallel universe where Senator Crockett could actually happen?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is one of the most important things that you bring up is that nobody snatches defeat from the jaws of victory like Republicans do. But I'd say more so, you could have a situation in which Carrie Lake stopped whatever she's doing, moves to Texas and runs for the Senate. That's a surefire way to lose the election. But other than that, again, just run a decently normal person who can speak in full sentences. And again, once you put someone forward who, again, doesn't reek of the mothballs of the establishment, which is giving Americans a lot of dyspepsia right now, given the Senate nominations not getting confirmed, and you don't put someone who, sniffs moon lemons, that gets out there and says, the government's trying to send me to France, then you're going to have a candidate that wins.
Here's the funny thing. I mean, we talked a little bit earlier today about the code switching, is the polite term for Jasmine Crockett. She is from St. Louis. I don't know if a lot of people know this. And she was educated at one of the most exclusive, privileged, high-priced private schools in all of this region, in the affluent part of this region. So the whole shtick that she does is complete and utter nonsense. I think there are enough people who know that she's a fraud on that, but others just try to buy in.
I mean, Jasmine Crockett is like two white people trying to quote the movie Friday to each other. I mean, you just got knocked the F out. I mean, that's what her accent sounds like. And by the way, that's not just me saying that. One of the assistant producers who's done a lot of work on the Medea movies with Tyler Perry says we try not to make the act, because they do like movies that are in Atlanta, which is specifically different Ebonic accent than Chicago, which is specifically different than in, say, Savannah or the other southern cities in which there are distinct Black communities. They have different accents that are more common. Jasmine Crockett's is so over the top, like Circus Barker entertaining, that even the Tyler Perry crew is like, if any of our actors or actresses spoke like Jasmine Crockett, we would toss them out to the B-list local car commercial set. That's how awful that is.
Oh man, we're visiting with Tony Kennett from the Daily Signal. Okay, so the more serious Democrats than Jasmine Crockett, which is...
There are more serious Democrats?
Yeah, let's say, well, compared to Jasmine Crockett, I mean, when the bar's high, I'm just saying.
Yeah, well.
So they're wanting to live and die on the Obamacare subsidies, keep those going. I'm a little disturbed that there are a few Republicans that say, well, maybe we need to talk about it. Terrible policy, but do they have a hook for the 2026 elections that's at least an emotional appeal?
So the issue here is that, again, people are just like education. They're saying healthcare is going to get us over the finish line. No, it's not. Crime, the economy. Those are the two things that get people over the finish line. Going to vote is like going to the DMV. I know that producer Jerome and I have laughed about that for time and time ad nauseum. And if I'm going to go to the DMV, then it better be diggity dong dang important. And that means that it better be the economy. It better be an international affair that means life or death for me. Think Cold War. Or it needs to be something along the lines of crime, illegal immigration, same facet. Well, voters aren't going to come out for healthcare because it turns out that in the United States, the healthcare system is a lot better than the world's worst thing ever. It's not great. It needs to be fixed. But it's not enough to get voters out there with pitchforks, torches, and I don't know, whatever weird things you're bringing to protests these days. So I don't think that's going to do it for him. Republicans are wishy-washy enough on this that it's kind of like punching jelly. The Democrats can't really hit the Republicans on it because you don't actually have Republicans going, I have a healthcare policy. Everyone should die. If they did that, then yeah, they'd have a campaign. But Republicans aren't saying that. You have New York and California Republicans who said, what if we take Obamacare and paint it a different color? And that's their strategy. And it sucks. But also it's so close to being the Democrats. Again, Trump is a Bill Clinton populist. He is. On the economy, Trump is Bill Clinton.
Yep.
So the Democrats can't hit him there because they were all Bill Clinton 20 years ago. So they can't do anything about that. And so when Trump adds a little conservatism to it, then they're really up a creek without a paddle, a boat, or an awkward lifeguard yelling stroke every couple of seconds. So they can't do anything here.
Okay, so the media, now far be it for me to question the mainstream media because clearly they're smarter than all of us. No, I would never do that. But they say Republicans have to have a plan or they risk a bloodbath in 2026. Do the Republicans have to have a message to go on offense, or do they just not, or do they just have to not have a circular firing squad?
So Republicans need to be able to look at, so first of all, you need two things to win an election that you are in power. You need things to be good. You need average sentiment. When I think that around Q1 of next year, when the economy really starts to take off, because it is currently like a compressed spring, then you're going to see a really good 2026. That momentum in and of itself is going to carry Republicans. Number two, you need people who aren't insane. Candidate quality matters to voters right now. People don't like being embarrassed on the national stage. People don't like it. For example, in Missouri, when Senator Eric Schmidt gets up on TV and he is articulate and he is clear and he smacks George Stephanopoulos, it makes people in Missouri look good. Republicans like it when their candidates make them look good. What they don't like is when someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene gets out there, starts smacking herself in the head with a hammer and laughing like the Joker in The Dark Knight. People don't care for that. And the same on the left. This is what Jasmine Crockett doesn't understand. When she gets out there and starts taking off her earrings and like touching like all of her nails like she's getting ready to get in a bar fight, that doesn't make Democrats feel good, especially not some of the voter contingents they're going for. And they've already isolated themselves in demographics enough that they really aren't able to leap ahead. So again, all Republicans have to do, things have to be good, granted, and then also don't embarrass people. Those are what you need in 2026.
And the Democrats loves them some illegal aliens passionately. This is not an issue that we know for the past several years, especially the last 7 months, that this does not resonate with the middle voters, the ones who decide these off-year elections. What is going through their head on the far left to say this is the winning category is we love illegal aliens and that's who our priority is, because that's how that's coming across.
So there was a picture that was posted yesterday. We're doing redistricting here in Indiana, and Governor Braun, who is not like the Teddy Roosevelt of Republicans. He's all right. He was standing at the rally with his arms crossed, because he crosses his arms like I'm doing right now. He's just, men do that when they're standing. I kid you not. They found a picture of Adolf Hitler crossing his arms and said, I hate Indiana's Hitler. It's like, you know who else used to cross his arms and drink water? Hitler. That's what Democrats are doing. So anything the Trump administration is for, they're against. You heard this from Trump. I could cure the most deadly disease. And the Democrats wouldn't clap for it. Yeah, I mean, so they're like, oh, Trump doesn't like illegal immigrants. Get me the man with MS-13 tattooed on his knuckles who beats his wife. And that's a Maryland father for me, which I guess they have so little experience with fathers that they don't know, a good father from a bad father. Yeah, they'll take the MS-13 wife beater because after all, Trump doesn't like him. So that means he must be great. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. All right, Tony, Daily Signals, where we're going to find a lot of your work. We're tagging you on social media. What's coming up next day or so on Daily Signal, and what are you all over?
Well, as for me, we just spoke with Brandon Gill from Texas last night. I think that Ilhan Omar is about to get herself in a DOJ's worth of trouble. This fraud stuff is looking worse by the second, and I hate that for the taxpayers, people of Minnesota, the American citizens of Minnesota. They're really left with a bad rub.
All right, 314-912-1019. That is the way to be involved in the conversation. As always, don't forget NewsTalkSTL.com. That's also going to give you the location of all of our bins to drop off your donations to our food drive that we're doing in partnership with the St. Louis County Central Committee of the GOP. It's benefiting the ministry of Feed My People right here in St. Louis. So check that out. Get involved. It's easy to forget about that sort of thing as we get closer to Christmas, but we still got time to help those in need. We've got about 2 weeks left in that food drive, so please get involved.
So many ways to listen to News Talk STL. Enable our Alexa skill.
Hello.
Hey, Alexa.
Yes, I'm listening.
Play News Talk STL.
Welcome to News Talk STL, conservative talk radio for St. Louis.
Parents want more choices rather than fewer when it comes to their children's education. And now some Missouri parents will have one more option to get their children the best education available. Low-income students and those with disabilities in Missouri's largest communities can now apply for an Empowerment Scholarship Account, or ESA. With an ESA, the money the state would normally pay to your child's public school goes into an account that you control. You can use the funds for private school tuition, online learning programs, a private tutor, or other approved uses. You can tailor your child's education. For too long, Missouri officials have operated on the mistaken notion that parents only need one choice. They're assigned public school based on their address. ESAs put parents in charge. It's school choice at its best, with money following the students to the place that best fits their needs. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. This Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
This holiday season, help Feed My People fill the shelves. News Talk STL and the STL County GOP are partnering for an annual food drive, November 10th through December 21st. Drop off your non-perishable food donations at all Bartolino's restaurants, all Chris's Pancakes and dining locations, and all 3 Michael's flooring outlets, or at the News Talk STL studios.
Tim Jones here to let you know that together we can make a difference for families in need.
Visit newstalkstl.com for complete drop-off locations.
SR1 Sundays.
Hi, this is Elizabeth Kaiser. Be sure and check out my show, Straight Lines, this and every Sunday at 8 p.m., right after Stand and Fight, part of SR1 Sundays. Let's meet right here and let's peel back some layers of this crazy world, and you might be surprised at what we find. Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kaiser on SR1 Sundays at 8 p.m., right here on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kaiser on News Talk STL.
If you're worried about losing your health insurance through Medicaid, we have great news for you. New government regulations have expanded the Affordable Care Act. And now you may qualify to get health insurance for you and your family through the Affordable Care Act. Call now to learn if you qualify. We know the healthcare regulations regarding Medicaid, and we've helped thousands of people find quality, affordable health insurance. Plus, all our research is free to you. So call us. With just one call, we'll shop from hundreds of different insurance companies to find you the right affordable health insurance plan. So if you're worried about losing your Medicaid insurance, call right now. Speak with a licensed agent and find how you may qualify for a new health insurance plan.
800-479-0931. 800-479-0931. 800-479-0931. That's 800-479-0931. Paid for by the Health Insurance Hotline.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Okay, we kind of knew this was coming here, but those new congressional maps for Missouri on hold.
Oh,
yeah. And this is kind of what we expected. Even when was it the Secretary Hoskins was on with us? About 3 weeks ago, I think he was on with us. And he even said, he goes, there's a pretty good chance that the opposition to these are going to have the signatures to do this. Well, they need 107-ish thousand valid voter signatures to put the question of the new maps on the ballot in 2026. Well, they turned in over 300,000.
Wow.
Now, 92,000 of those are in question because basically they jumped the gun. And I think those signatures should be thrown out.
Mm-hmm.
Even with that, that's more than double what they're going to need, which is about the ratio you need. You need about, for every one valid signature you need to collect about 2. Just because that's the process. That's how you do it. And so the left-wing opposition very possibly simply won this round. So later on, you'll kind of through like in the news dump here in a few minutes, we'll kind of go through the basic details of what it is and where we go from here. Later on today, we'll talk to Nick Schroer about this as well. A lot of questions over the petitioners. Lawsuits are still in place, all this kind of stuff. So it's not a certain done deal, but it looks like the left simply won this round.
Okay, so the battle may have been lost temporarily, but the war is still ongoing.
Yeah, depending on what you consider to be a victory in the war. Because this goes back to, and I just want to kind of remind everybody, and I think, Jerome, you see this kind of like the way I see it, is millions of dollars are going to be spent battling over one congressional seat in Missouri, in a red seat. So the entire thing is gerrymandered to give the Republican Party one more vote because the president told Missouri Republicans to do it. Find me another vote, redraw the lines, do what you have to do, which is what he's done to red states all over the country. And is that a response to the Democrats gerrymandering in blue states for this very same reason? Yes.
Yeah.
It absolutely is. And so the Republicans are doing it. The Democrats are doing it. Finally, everybody's kind of honest about it, saying, yeah, we won. We're going to gerrymander.
Yeah.
Who's getting lost in all this? the voters.
Mm-hmm.
I was at a baseball practice yesterday talking to one of my teammates, and they were always like, so what was on the show today, kind of stuff, because he's not particularly political as far as I know. It seems like a pretty moderate guy, really good guy, just works at a business. They manufacture stuff, he oversees that kind of thing. And he's not as well versed in all this stuff because he has a life to live. And I remember last night he's just saying, this just really pisses me off. He said, because it's all about the party's power, because it has nothing to do with us. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, this is for federal representation. This has nothing to do with being able to get stuff done domestically in Missouri.
Yeah. So that's where it's at. And I would, people say, but Mike, we're responding to the left doing it. 100%. Absolutely, you are. Nobody's going to lay down their arms if the right suddenly says, okay, we'll stop if you'll stop. I wouldn't trust the left for a second to do that. But what it basically means is that the 2026 elections, in all likelihood, are going to use the same congressional maps that we used last year. So nothing is going to change. It just means that 6 Republicans and 2 Democrats are going to be elected from the state of Missouri instead of 7 Republicans and 1 Democrat as well. So we'll get into that just a little bit more. I got more basic details here in the news dump coming up. Also, a little bit later on today, an entire country, Australia, has now approved a law that bans most teenagers from being on social media.
Ooh.
Period.
Wow.
Good luck with that.
The Herzog Tomorrow Foundation provides private school tuition scholarships through Missouri's new Most Scholars program to cover the cost of accessible, high-quality schooling.
Hi, this is Myella Esser with the Herzog Tomorrow Foundation. Our private school tuition scholarships wouldn't be possible without the support of generous Missouri taxpayers. If you're a Missouri taxpayer interested in redirecting your tax dollars and sending them to Missouri students in need of a better education, please contact me at herzogmostscholars.org.
Better education for students creates a better tomorrow for all. Learn how you can help provide a better education for Missouri students at herzogmostscholars.org. That's herzogmostscholars.org. Also, sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. herzogfoundation.com. That's herzogfoundation.com.
Hey, how you doing? Santa Vic here.
And Santa's head Vic head here.
Right. And you can win some great prizes with News Talk STL's St. Louis Conservative Christmas.
You forgot the ho-ho-ho. You forgot the ho-ho-ho.
Oh.
No, ho-ho.
Oh.
Log on to NewsTalkSTL.com for your chance to win great prizes from Havana 1961 Restaurant, Trolley Stop Bakery, and Whistle Pig Outdoors. NewsTalkSTL.com.
Oh.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Bunny Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Bunny Radio every weekend on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeBunnyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
Why leave your company's story to chance? In today's digital world, video content isn't just an option. It's essential for your success. At Blue Ocean Media Group, we've spent decades crafting compelling visual stories for businesses just like yours. From concept to completion, our award-winning team transforms your vision into powerful video content that connects with your audience and drives results. Don't trust your brand to amateurs. Partner with Blue Ocean Media Group. Visit BlueOceanMediaGroup.com today, and let's bring your story to life.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. President Trump says his highest priority, job number one, is to make America affordable again. Talked about that at a massive rally last night in Northeast Pennsylvania.
Facing criticism over the high cost of living, the president used his visit to Mount Pocono, Pennsylvania, to blame Joe Biden and Democrats for the affordability crisis.
The Democrats go out, prices are too high. Yeah, they're too high because they caused them to be too high. But now they're coming down.
He acknowledged there's more work to do in improving the economy, even as he defended his tariff policy and pointed to falling gas prices. Greg Clugston, Washington.
The president is expected to hold a series of campaign-style rallies in advance of next year's crucial midterm elections. The strategy is to get the president out there in hopes that will get more pro-Trump voters to the polls. Defense Secretary Hegseth says he is still weighing whether to authorize release of the complete video of an attack on an alleged drug-running boat off Venezuela, killed 2 suspected narco-terrorists. The head of the Nobel Institute says Peace Prize winner, Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado will not come out of hiding for the ceremony awarding her the Nobel Peace Prize in Oslo.
Machado last appeared in public 11 months ago. Nobel Institute Director Christian Berg Harpviken told public broadcaster NRK the Venezuelan opposition leader was not in the Norwegian capital on the day of the ceremony, and her daughter will accept the prize on Machado's behalf.
Correspondent Charles Deledesma. An atmospheric river has swamped the Pacific Northwest with flooding rains, Portland and Seattle among cities impacted by the rising water. Later today, the Federal Reserve to announce its latest decision on interest rates. On Wall Street, the Dow futures are down 29 points, NASDAQ futures 32 points in the red. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Dennis Prager here for AmFed Coin and Bullion. I've always been a strong believer in precious metals investment, and I've always been fascinated with rare coin collecting. But owning the wrong coins that only make dealers a lot of money can be catastrophic for your investment portfolio. AmFed Coin and Bullion specializes in taking people out of non-performing coin portfolios and turning them into gold, silver, or platinum bullion. They tailor a portfolio based on your goals and not what they want to sell you. You'll never experience scare tactics, misleading hype, or high-pressure sales from owner Nick Grovich and his very knowledgeable staff. They will evaluate your portfolio, show you how your coins have performed, and take the time to educate you on the ugly industry practices so that you can make an informed decision. Smart people can make very bad investments when they're under pressure and lack the facts. Call 800-221-7694. That's 800-221-7694. AmericanFederal.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch with your first alert forecast. We have issued a first alert weather day as we see the potential for strong winds gusting anywhere to 40 to 50 miles per hour throughout the morning to early afternoon hours today. Then we're going to be seeing mostly cloudy skies. Temperatures continue to fall through the afternoon hours as winds continue out of the northwest, starting to die off. Into Thursday, looking mostly cloudy. Could see some light snow off to the northeast. Most of that going to be staying out of the metro, not looking at any impacts for roadways. And we're cooling into the weekend. From the First Alert for Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at SerenityLTC.com.
Tim Jones here from my great friends at Comprehensive Chiropractic, the premier chiropractic and sports performance facility in the region. How do I know? Simply put, they've helped me on many occasions. Here's another solution to your everyday aches and pains. The Studio Health and Wellness Center. Services include Pilates and yoga, both with certified instructors. I can also highly recommend the massage therapy, which is not an indulgence. It's a proven method of healing and restoration. Trust my friends at Comprehensive Chiropractic in Eureka, cchiropractic.com. That's cchiropractic.com.
Hey, it's Susie Moore. If new flooring makes you think hassle, think again, because Michael's Flooring is changing the game. For over 30 years, Michael's has been locally owned and trusted for quality, variety, and amazing service. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, laminate, luxury vinyl, or ceramic tile, their expert team makes installing new floors exciting, not stressful. That's why customers keep coming back. Visit Michael's Flooring at St. Peter's, Starting Prairie, Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
President Zelensky now refusing to agree to any peace deal that gives up any land to Russia. Retired Lieutenant Colonel Darren Gobb analyzes and explains at 5:20.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
Big guy, one of the biggest in the world.
Susie Moore.
Do you think he's ready?
He's not ready.
Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
I have a feeling that by the end of this evening, I'm going to be blamed for everything.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin.
All right, not so fast on that new congressional map in Missouri. Yep. Yep. And Illinois' governor doubles down, maybe triples down, quadruples down, quintuples down, whatever.
We've lost count.
Yeah, on his fight against the feds and his fight for illegal aliens.
Okay.
But he's waxing poetic about it. Clearly a presidential candidate. Right? Yeah.
Sure.
And an area college renames its sports teams, but only temporarily.
Huh?
Yeah, I know. That was my first reaction. And then I'm like, oh, okay. Well, that's interesting. It's interesting. We'll see. All right. 6:06. Let's start off with a news dump here.
The morning news dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks. The morning news dump.
All right. I think we all knew that this was coming here. So opponents of the new Missouri congressional map approved by lawmakers this year. Remember, they approved that in that special session. They turned in around 300,000 signatures.
That's a lot of signatures.
Yeah, it's over 2.5 times the number that's actually needed. Now, you do need to account for some of them being thrown out. That's just going to happen. But here's the thing. That, assuming they have the 107,000-ish valid signatures, which I'm sure they do. Even if they throw out the 92,000 in question, they still have enough.
Yeah.
It appears just mathematically, unless they were completely incompetent in their signature gathering, which I don't think they were because they used professionals.
Just makes me wonder who all those people are signing that.
Well, that's yeah. So, and here's the thing though, is remember, there's no Missouri law that says they have to tell you the truth.
Right.
When it comes to what you're signing. And so, they're very good at what they do. I saw them out at different things. But here's where we're at. Once enough signatures are confirmed, and I suspect they will be, that pauses the new map until voters will decide to accept or reject what the legislature approved. So the result here, the bottom line, is that the 2026 elections in Missouri will, as it stands right now, use the same congressional maps as last year.
Okay.
So then voters probably in November will be asked, basically, do you want to recall and nullify the maps that the legislature approved, or do you want to accept that? And what's yes and what's no will be determined.
Sure.
But voters will then decide whether or not to give Republicans one more seat in Congress or stick with the current 6-2 map.
Okay.
And then after that, if Republicans accept it, then it can go into effect in 2028, where we're 2 years away from the next census anyway.
Yeah. Something tells me that there will be 0 Democrats voting in favor of new maps.
Right.
And getting all of the Republicans to vote in favor of them is going to be a chore.
I think you're right. Yeah.
An uphill climb.
Yep. I think so.
Okay.
So unless there's some court ruling that we don't see coming somewhere.
Right. There's something defective and
Right.
there's some legal issue why it can't be a referendum.
Yeah. My guess is that that at least for the moment, the left, because remember the group that did this, they literally, I'm not making this up, they literally have ties to the Communist Party.
Right.
And I'll be real honest, I'm kind of agnostic on the whole map thing.
Yeah.
I really am. I mean, I think it's silly that millions of dollars are going to be spent on one U.S. House seat.
If I were in charge, we'd just do maps like that made sense.
Yes.
I would be fine with that.
Yeah.
I honestly would. And I'm not in charge.
Yeah, that's how it goes. Got some thoughts on that. We'll talk about that a time or two through the show here. Okay, U.S. Senate this week is going to vote on 2 competing healthcare plans. Here is the story.
With COVID-era healthcare subsidies set to expire, senators will vote on a Democratic bill to extend the ACA tax credits for 3 years. This vote was promised during the government shutdown, but it lacks the bipartisan support needed for passage. Republicans have a plan that would replace the subsidies with new savings accounts. It, too, is likely to fail. As a result, millions of Americans are bracing for more expensive healthcare coverage. Greg Clugston, Washington.
And basically, there's your 2026 campaign in a nutshell.
Sure.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Okay, Governor J.B. Pritzker, he signs a law into place that prohibits federal immigration authorities from enforcement actions at or near courthouses or other specified areas. So the governor says the state is standing up to the Trump administration.
Illinoisans, in the face of cruelty and intimidation, have chosen solidarity and support. That should not be overlooked. Donald Trump, Kristi Noem, and Gregory Bovino tried to appeal to our lesser instincts, but the best of us are standing up to the worst of them.
That sounds like a campaign speech.
Yes.
So the law takes effect immediately, and they say it prevents officials from conducting enforcement operations in hospitals, on college campuses, or in daycare facilities, among others. This comes, of course, after Operation Midway Blitz, that over 3,000 arrests were made. So here's the question. Can a state law say I'm making it illegal for federal law enforcement to enforce federal law?
No.
I was going to say, let's have a big discussion, but I think we just,
No. There's going to be a lawsuit.
Oh, yeah.
And this is going to be, a battle of the supremacy clause situation. It's similar to in California where they passed the thing about the no masking. Yeah. I mean, we've talked about this in a different context with SEPA.
Right.
But that isn't saying the federal law is not, it's basically saying we're not going to enforce this, or we're not going to help you enforce this.
Right.
Not we're superseding your law.
Yeah, Missouri SEPA law did not tell, ATF or FBI or that you can't do it, just we're not going to contribute resources to it.
Correct.
Yeah.
This is different, and it's not going to win in the long run, but there's going to be another lawsuit, and I'll have to add something else to the spreadsheet, and here we go.
Yeah, and J.B. Pritzker gets to take the, in the leftist eyes, the high road on the campaign trail.
Bully for you, JB.
And extra points for using bully for you, going back to the was that Teddy Roosevelt days?
I think so.
Yeah. All right.
Yep.
Okay. Trump administration facing a lawsuit. Speaking of lawsuits, seeking the immediate release of a memo providing the legal justification for U.S. military strikes on suspected drug boats. Reporter Bernie Bennett has the story.
The lawsuit was filed by the American Civil Liberties Union, the American Civil Liberties Union Foundation, and the Center for Constitutional Rights. The Department of Justice, including its Office of Legal Counsel, Department of State, and the Department of Defense, now named the Department of War, are listed as defendants. In the lawsuit, the ACLU said it was seeking the immediate release of the legal opinion authored by the Office of Legal Counsel concerning the U.S. military's claimed authority to carry out lethal strikes on civilian boats that the U.S. government asserts are carrying drugs. Bernie Bennett in Washington.
I don't know where this one goes.
I don't either. It's kind of reminding me of back in the Bush days when there were all the fights over, like the Abu Ghraib and waterboarding and whether there was justification or not. And there was a big tussle about whether and to what extent some of that information could be disclosed. So, yeah, I mean, it's just going to be another one of the battles. And again, my spreadsheet keeps getting bigger and bigger.
That's right. Tracking all the lawsuits. Okay. SIUE's teams will have dual identities during the 2026 sports season. Yeah. So the university announced that each Cougars team is going to compete as the 66ers at least once during the upcoming season. For all of their teams.
Okay.
Yep. That is to commemorate the centennial of historic Route 66.
Okay.
Yeah. So, because about 300 miles of Route 66 or Route 66, whatever you prefer, about 300 miles of that goes through Illinois.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the first teams to compete under the alternative name and color scheme, actually, will be both the men's and the women's basketball teams. They will host Southern Indiana University in Edwardsville. They will do so as the 66ers on January 1st.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of weird to me. Like, because you're talking about like different uniforms, you're talking about money being spent on, signage, uniforms, and that sort of thing. And I like the idea of acknowledging it, but it just seems like a strange way to go about it.
And they said at least once. So there are a couple teams, they might have like a certain theme night. And the athletic director, I saw him interviewed on some of the TV. He's like, basically, we're trying to create more excitement and market the school and the sports programs and all that sort of thing. So 66ers, go 66ers.
Oh, that doesn't really have a ring to it.
That's why they're only going to do it once or twice.
What are their new chants going to sound like?
Ooh, that could go bad.
Like,
Go real bad.
That could go really bad. All right. Blues 2-game winning streak comes to an end.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. They lose to the Bruins at home last night. Final score 5-2. Up next is a road game that's going to happen Thursday in Nashville against the Predators.
I have had enough of this. Turn my eyes to your indifference.
Mike Ferguson in the morning
The greatest of them all, gangster.
on News Talk STL.
Can't you hear the alarm?
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli here with our great friend Chris Cooper from Serenity Wealth Management. Hi, Chris.
How are you, Vic?
I don't want to put anybody else down, but when you go up and visit you at Serenity Wealth, your place looks like home.
So a lot of financial advisory offices, they have, the big mahogany desk or the big marble entryways and things like that. The stock market channel on the TV when you walk in the door, right? That doesn't really drive a good conversation. Good financial guidance and advice starts with a good conversation. People are nervous. People are afraid to talk about finances, right? And so you can see a little standoffish. Well, my objective is to try to have a good casual conversation. By having those conversations about life, goals, objectives, it's what makes me understand what our financials are supposed to fund.
So if somebody does want to have a good conversation, how do they do that? How do they find you?
Our website is the best way to do that because you can get all the information you need, understand where we are, get a little bit more information, all that. SerenityWealthNow.com.
Reach out to Chris and Stacy today at SerenityWealthNow.com.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
Looking for a gift sure to please? Simply go to Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in Chesterfield. You get a gift card, you choose the value, then they can use it at any of the Napoli locations. Plus, you want to surprise them with something totally unexpected? Walk a few doors down, Lit Cigar Lounge. That gift card can be used for premium cigars, lighters, decorative ashtrays. Once again, you made someone happy. Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta and Lit Cigar Lounge.
Hi, I'm Helene Tobler, culinary nutritionist at Body of Health Direct Primary Care. Here we do practical wellness. Dr. Randy and I have a common sense approach to healthcare. My passion is helping our members enjoy better nutrition because food is medicine. We approach problems with a lifestyle foundation and cutting-edge medical tool chest. At Body of Health, it's about being your healthiest you. If you want to experience healthcare the way it ought to be, schedule a discovery call today at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey guys, Billy Crow here from Jeffco Patriot Radio. Hope you had enough time to freshen up your coffee because now we're back with Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Allison has a question for you, Susie.
What's that?
We regarding the discussion over the whole congressional maps and stuff. She said, "Are you suggesting common sense in districts?"
Yes.
How
dare
so
you.
out
I
of the
know.
loop. My
Crazy
goodness.
talk. Crazy talk.
Jeez. Yeah, precisely. All right. 618. Okay, so we got basically a couple updates on stuff that's going around here. The whole Kimberly Gardner thing. So they had that hearing yesterday. And she did appear in person. They actually did this in Clayton, so she didn't have to go to Jeff City. And so what we've got here is the hearing before something called the Office of Legal Ethics and Counsel. What's odd is that the facts of the situation, and again, I want to remind everybody, this is not a criminal trial. She's not facing another fine, or she's not facing, criminal conviction, nothing like that. This is whether or not she still gets to keep her law license. Now, that's different than, like, for instance, your law license is not active because
Right.
you've chosen not to practice
Right. I still
law.
have my law
But
license.
you
I've just
can-
let it go inactive.
Yeah, so you could go reactivate
I could
it
reactivate
because you're
it
qualified.
for a small fee.
Yes.
Yes.
But with her, this is you lose the license.
Correct.
Yeah. So the weird part on this is that the facts are not in question. What this is centering on is she got fined by the state for basically withholding and manipulating evidence against Eric Greitens. So that whole thing. So she got fined $5,000 and then kind of got a little slap on the wrist, which honestly she should have been very grateful for. Then she took the money to pay the fine from the circuit attorney's office. So she used taxpayer funds to pay her fine that was levied on her personally.
Right.
That's what this is all about.
Yes.
And so her lawyer, and she argued that she should not lose her license because she didn't know that that was against the law. She shouldn't lose her law license because she was ignorant of the law, and that's why she did something unethical and illegal.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually argued, well, she called a experienced, well-known attorney, and he goes, well, it might be doable. And so she thought she could do it. So, and they also argued, they said, if this went to court, she would never be convicted criminally because she didn't know the law. That's their argument. Now, from an attorney perspective, what is your take on that? Because to me, that's almost comedically parody material right there.
Right.
But I'm not a lawyer. So what I think I have distilled that down to the facts. Obviously, I'm biased because I don't like Kimberly Gardner, but I think that everything I've said accurately portrays what happened.
So if you're talking about whether or not you have to show intent, for instance, maybe you would in order to convict somebody criminally of something like this, then she might have an argument there. First of all, I mean, everyone, non-lawyers and lawyers alike, knows the whole saying, ignorance of the law is no excuse.
Yeah.
Right. Now, is she hoping that they'll say, well, that's just the dumbest thing I've ever heard and feel sorry for her? Maybe. Yeah. As an attorney and really just as a kind of an upright, ethical person, if you are getting to the point where you've got a fine to pay and you're figuring out where the fine's going to, what the source of the payment is going to be, on some level, you have to recognize, it may or may not be okay to do this with taxpayer funds. I better research that.
Yeah.
I better do more than just make a phone call. And that she didn't do that doesn't speak well of her. My sense, I have no way of knowing what the Office of Legal Ethical Counsel is going to do. My sense is that they're not going to be particularly persuaded by that, because the excuse is, okay, even if you didn't know, then you should have erred on the side of caution. And you're talking about taxpayer dollars, so that has this sort of like a higher standard even.
Yeah. So is this just basic, whether it was legal or not, you did something illegal, that's the end of the discussion? Or is this into the more subjective ethical question?
Oh, it's more subjective ethical because they're not really determining legality as much as they are whether or not it was a breach of her ethics. So, I mean, I don't know what they'll end up doing with it, but I don't think that that's something that would, if I were sitting on that council, that wouldn't be something that I would find persuasive. I would say, why didn't you go find that out? Why didn't you make a point to look into whether it was appropriate to do that? I mean, the only thing I can analogize it to is law firms get sanctioned sometimes too. I mean, sometimes you get in trouble with the court and you get, a sanction, a fine levied on you. The question is, does the client pay for that or does the law firm pay for that? And you have to work that out. I mean, you can't just take the client's money and have the client pay for it and not be all on the same page. You can't just make sure it's okay.
We've talked in a lot of areas because we talk about so much politics, here regarding, ethics and tribalism and covering your backside and circling the wagons, whatever cliche you want to put on there. Give me a peek behind the curtain a little bit in the legal community. How adamant and how important are the ethics of the profession still to this day? Because there are professions where ethics are like, it is what it is. Don't worry about it. We got to protect our own. But what's it like in the legal community?
So the answer to that is it depends.
Ooh.
It depends on, what your setting is and who you're talking to. I I was raised. I grew up in a law firm where like the big heavy hitters there were the most upright, ethical people to the point, and I'm saying this literally. Walking to court would not walk against the light, would not cross when it didn't say walk. That's how kind of upright the mentality was. And so that was instilled in me that, you dot I's, you cross T's, everything by the book. I encountered along the way people who didn't operate like that. Some people operated a little bit kind of in the murky and like, well, they're probably not technically violating everything, anything, but it's not the best practice. But then there were people that were like snakes. So it depended on the person, it depended on the firm. I felt like the older generation was more attuned to maintaining the ethics than some of the younger people that were coming into their own as I was leaving the profession, just in terms of how you treat your fellow attorneys, how you respond to the court. So that's a long-winded way of saying it just depends.
Yeah, because we're seeing that in all sorts of different industries. I mean, you just happen to have insight into that one.
Yeah.
But you could look at education, you could look at politics, you could look at medicine, you could look at, probably like counseling, you could look at you could look in all these different areas. Every single group has some, sort of unwritten code, sometimes written code, but the other times just expectations that are handed down. And I think we're losing a lot of those in all of our institutions.
Very much so. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. We even talked about this a little bit when we were talking about like, dressing up to fly. Same thing with court. I mean, never in a million years, as much of a slob as I can be, and as much as I love my sweats, I would never in a million years have thought of going into a courthouse, not in a suit of some sort or an appropriate, business attire. And it just, you don't see that as much anymore. You see much more casual. And even at the office, things changed. When I started practicing law, you wore a suit every day to the office. By the time I left, you could wear jeans.
Yeah, whether you were going to court or not.
Not if you're going to court.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying if you're not in court, you were in a suit anyway.
In the old
days.
Oh, yeah. No, every day. It didn't matter. But yeah, by the time I left, you could definitely wear jeans on Friday. It was definitely a business casual atmosphere. It had gotten much more relaxed. I wasn't necessarily opposed to that, but in terms of like showing respect, going to court, you definitely dressed up.
Right.
So I don't know. I guess things change.
Yeah, they are. They're changing. Whether it's good or bad, we can talk about that, but they just definitely are.
Yeah.
Another update. We talked to Mike Archer yesterday about
yeah.
The budget and the overspending in St. Louis County. So they did not approve the overall budget last night.
Okay.
They're not done trying to find ways to cut spending.
All right.
And so basically they're still at odds with Sam Page, obviously. But they've got till the end of the year to figure out a budget. So here's the way that it works is that if they don't approve a budget for 2026, what's in place for 2025 rolls over and becomes the budget for 2026. And the overspending in 2025 is part of the problem that added to the problem. So there's a lot of pressure on the county council to get something done before December 31st. They've got one more regularly scheduled meeting on the calendar. They're probably going to have to call at least one other special session to have a meeting to approve something. And the council members, Republican and Democrat, both are telling media nothing is off the table for cuts. But what they're going to do is they're going to start with, okay, you have jobs that are open that we have a budget for, but they're not filled. We're going to start there.
Okay.
I like that.
Yeah. Right.
But they're going to have to make cuts otherwise.
Do we know what some of the snags are that is keeping them from being able to push through?
Basically the way I understand it, and I've talked to the three Republicans in the last few weeks on this. And what they say is essentially they need the department heads to get in there and take leadership and saying, okay, here's where we can start cutting. And for the most part, what they're telling me is that they get it.
Yeah.
They now get it. Whereas before they would fight like crazy to keep every person and every budget and everything now they recognize the cuts are coming. So you'd better be in the driver's seat to help make it happen.
Do you want to say it or not? Right. That's
So,
important.
Yeah. So $80 million. And the council seems to be absolutely dead set against Sam Page's request to say, just fill it, just take a shovel, grab the Rams money, dump it in here, and then we'll worry about next year.
Good.
Yes.
Hope they stand their ground on that.
I still love the fact that Mike Archer said when I asked him yesterday, okay, well, there'll be pressure to like raise taxes. And he said, you should not give us any money. We've proven we're not responsible with it. And I'm like, God, I wish more politicians would talk like that.
Amen. Amen. Well, speaking of politicians and money, Illinois lawmakers keep raising taxes, and Missouri lawmakers are debating how they can cut them. So at 6:35, let's talk about why that matters enough for people to actually move.
Mike Ferguson in the morning
That's a banana republic without the banana.
on News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch with your first alert forecast. We have issued a first alert weather day as we see the potential for strong winds gusting anywhere to 40 to 50 miles per hour throughout the morning to early afternoon hours today. Then we're going to be seeing mostly cloudy skies. Temperatures continue to fall through the afternoon hours as winds continue out of the northwest, starting to die off. Into Thursday, looking mostly cloudy. Could see some light snow off to the northeast. Most of that going to be staying out of the metro, not looking at any impacts for roadways. And we're cooling into the weekend. The first alert for Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch.
Kathy Connor from Connor Roofing is here. Kathy, how you doing?
Good. Hi, Vic.
You know, when you need a roof, I don't want to call a stranger. I want to call you.
Yeah, thanks. At Connor Roofing, we're more than just a roofing company.
How long you been doing it?
Since 1993.
And year after year, storm after storm, you guys are always there.
Because this is our home too, Vic. Our kids go to school with your kids. We cheer for the same teams. Go Blues!
So support your neighbors. Call Connor Roofing at 314-375-7475 or CONNER roofing.com.
Thanks, Vic.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Brian Pichelle. He is the executive director of Dogs for Our Brave.
I've been very blessed to have incredible support in my life as I battled through my journey of coming back from Iraq and dealing with, PTSD and everything I saw and witnessed as a medic. Not all veterans have that type of support. And ultimately, that's why I say we are a gift of love. We are a gift. We want to be that beacon of hope.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Hi, I'm Mark Sutherland, founder of Stone Ledge Distillery, and I'd like to give you a bottle of Stolock whiskey or Inversion vodka. Just register now at NewsTalkSTL.com and come experience what Missouri Ozark Highlands craftsmanship really tastes like. At our tasting room in historic Defiance, you'll enjoy Stolock whiskey, Inversion vodka, and other Missouri-made spirits, wine, and craft beer in a beautiful cocktail lounge, our cigar room, or out on the patio every weekend. And right now, win a bottle of Stolock or Inversion at NewsTalkSTL.com. Come raise a glass in Defiance.
When you've got something to say, be heard loud and clear.
If they'll just do what they were voted in to do. This party needs to get a backbone. They need to get some spine.
Join the conversation. St. Louis's place to talk.
The Democrats and the Republicans can give us all the lip service they want, but what they need to do is take action today.
101.9 and 94.1.
You have to take a stand sometimes.
This is News Talk STL. News, analysis, and opinion.
This is News 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton, and we're proud to be the official winter weather source for News Talk STL. The First Alert Weather Team is working hard to keep you ahead of the big weather changes and help you plan your day. So stay connected this winter with Channel 4 and News Talk STL.
I love that you're starting your day off right with Mike Ferguson in the morning. It's your boy Joe Pags. Talk to you tonight. But now let's get back to Mike.
All right. You heard the term voting with your feet?
Yes.
Yeah. Voting with your feet and voting with moving trucks.
Yes.
And it's all about voting with dollars.
Mhm.
That's really what we're talking about. So keep in mind, as Susie just mentioned a couple minutes ago, Missouri lawmakers are debating how to cut taxes.
Yes.
Which and how.
Not whether.
Right. Illinois lawmakers are continuing to look for any way possible to raise taxes everywhere, generally to shift that money up to Chicago and try to bail out all their failing stuff.
Sure.
But I say all that to keep in mind the difference on each side of the river here when you look at the national picture. And we're now joined by Brandon Arnold from the National Taxpayers Union. And Brandon, interesting, I guess, blog article, op-ed that you wrote the other day. Taxpayers in high-tax states are fleeing to low-tax states. And so we're not just talking about, us conservatives want low taxes and big government, small government. There are real-world implications to these wonky policy things. What is it that the information that you were kind of boiling down, what is that showing in real time in real life?
Yeah, absolutely. And good morning. Thanks so much for having me on the program here. What we knew was that people were leaving these high tax states. What we didn't know is the rate at which they were leaving. So we were examining the data that comes out of the IRS and seeing that states like California weren't just losing people fast. It was 1 minute and 44 seconds. That's all the time that it takes for a Californian to pack up his or her bags, and leave for greener pastures. In New York, it was just over 2 minutes. Illinois is in the same boat. All of these high tax states, and they're not just high tax states, they're high spending states, high regulatory states, anti-business climate states in many circumstances, are leaving for greener pastures. And I think the smart policymakers out there, and I think your governor is one of them, are starting to see this and starting to recognize we need to think of our states as a business. We need to offer products in the terms of infrastructure, schools, and so forth at low prices in the form of lower taxes. And if we do that, just like businesses that offer good products at low prices, they're going to succeed. They're going to attract more customers, in this case, more taxpayers.
Brandon, this is Susie Moore. When we see this sort of mass migration amongst the states, and you see people from the high tax states moving to the low tax states, what does that do in terms of the political ramifications? Because at some point, a population shift means a difference. I mean, I know we're all are talking about redistricting right now, but it's going to make a difference in terms of representation on the national level and the politics of each individual state.
Yeah, it does change the politics a lot. I think the first thing you look at is redistricting. Obviously, when you have larger populations, you have more clout in Congress, you have more representatives in the House of Representatives. That's a good thing for your state. It also creates economic benefits when you have businesses, individuals moving to your state, generating more activity. Their activities create more sales tax revenue, more, if you have an income tax, more income tax revenue, property tax revenue, because they're buying homes, they're buying stuff, they're participating in the state's economy. And the third thing, this comes from a friend of mine in New Hampshire who noticed there are more and more Massachusetts license plates in their state. New Hampshire, of course, is one of the states that has no income tax. So they've lured a lot of people from surrounding states to the state of New Hampshire. And he noticed that not only are we seeing people from out of state move to New Hampshire, the people that are moving there are the people that see the value in low taxes. They're not moving there and then saying, hey, let's raise taxes in New Hampshire. They're moving there because they're refugees from these high tax states and they want to keep that pro-business, pro-taxpayer climate in New Hampshire. So I think that's been a good thing for these low tax states, New Hampshire, Tennessee, the Carolinas, Florida, and so forth.
Well, New Hampshire lured my brother and his wife from Illinois. Out there.
There you go.
Yeah. So Brandon, let me follow up on that, because a lot of times what you'll hear, like, for instance, from the left or from somebody who's like pushing, it's just a little tax. We got to have it for the fill in the blank schools, libraries, ambulance, whatever it is. And they say people don't make decisions. They're not going to move out of town because we raised the property tax a little bit. We're not going to move out of town because, we added the sales tax because, it's what we got to deliver. And so you hear that mostly from the left, but from a disturbing number of people in the middle or even center right on it these days. And what I'm seeing in the sources that you wrote about and linked to and all that kind of stuff is that no, at some point there is a tipping point and people will make a life decision, leave a community if the policy is bad enough, because the conventional wisdom for years is, people may complain and stomp their feet a little bit. Nobody wants to pay higher taxes, but they're not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, that was what New York and a lot of these states used to claim for a long time. And they would also say, people are leaving to Florida. It's just the senior citizens. People are retiring. They're moving to Florida. They want to play golf or pickleball or what have you. They want the warm climate. I think the data suggests a very, very different story. People are leaving, not just senior citizens moving to Florida. We're seeing young families move to Florida, to Texas, to the Carolinas. We're seeing the business community relocate for greener pastures once again. And they're not moving their families. They're not voluntarily taking their families the states that have inferior educational systems, that have potholes in the road, that don't have parks and the other things that taxpayers want to see. These states are delivering services that people want. Florida has improved their education dramatically. They're a very strong educational state now. So New York can't simply hide behind the fact that they provide quote unquote better services, better schools and so forth. That is no longer true, and people see it. And again, they're voting with their feet. And the other thing I should note here, spending plays such a large role in this. And I think that's another thing your governor's gotten right. This can't just be about taxes. It's got to be about spending. New York is spending twice on a per taxpayer basis what Florida is spending on its residents, twice. So until they get that spending situation resolved, the taxes are almost an inevitability. They can't get out of their own way in Albany. Fix the spending situation. That will create the fiscal space that allows you to lower taxes and ultimately attract residents or keep residents from leaving your state.
Brandon, we know who some of the worst offenders, which states are some of the worst offenders here: California, New York, Illinois. Which states are benefiting from this migration the most, and what is it about their policies, specifically their tax policies, that is attracting people to move to them?
Yeah, let me just point out the top 5 here. Florida is number 1. They're picking up a new taxpayer every 2 minutes, roughly, just over 2 minutes. Texas is number 2, about every 2.5 minutes. Somebody is packing their bags and moving to the state of Texas. What do those states have in common? Well, geographically, they're in the southeast, but more importantly, they're zero income tax states. Picking up after those two are the 2 Carolinas, North Carolina, South Carolina, both low tax states, so they do have income taxes. And then your neighbor Tennessee comes in at number 5. Tennessee, of course, another no income tax state that has actually taken additional steps to eliminate some of its investment taxes in recent years. So the states that are attracting people are these low tax or even no tax states. The secret sauce isn't all that secret anymore. You reduce your taxes, you provide a business friendly climate, and guess what? People want to move there. Businesses want to move there. Families want to move there.
And I want to point out, North Carolina is not exactly a bright red state. There's plenty of Democratic politics, in North Carolina. So it's not even necessarily just a red and blue state, although I suspect the red states generally are going to have better tax policy, but does North Carolina show states like Illinois or some of the others where you've got a lot of more fiscally conservative people in blue states? Does it show that, yeah, you can still have a mixed bag politically and still have decent tax policy?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. North Carolina is a purple state. It's up for grabs in presidential elections, and they've had more Democratic governors than they've had Republican governors in recent years. But yeah, they passed about a dozen years ago one of the real landmark tax reform bills. They built in spending triggers. They lowered tax rates. They didn't zero out their income tax, but hopefully they'll get there at some point. And all the folks on the left, when they passed that bill a dozen years ago, said, oh, this is going to be the end of the state. We're not going to be able to educate our kids. We're not going to be able to fix those potholes in the road. And guess what? That didn't materialize. The state is stronger than ever. Hopefully they'll be able to explore some additional tax relief down the road. And people are moving there in droves. Now the problems that residents have aren't as much with the taxes. The problems that people have down there are the fact that traffic has gotten really bad in Raleigh and Charlotte. The property values are going up significantly, and these are serious problems, but I'll tell you, they're much better problems than the ones that folks are dealing with in Massachusetts, in Illinois, and California, where they're scrambling to keep people from leaving and trying all sorts of hokey ideas like exit taxes or wealth taxes, all of these ridiculous left-wing ideas trying to preserve their tax base. It's a flailing mess in so many of these high-tax blue states right now.
We know Missouri is looking very closely at doing away with the income tax. What other states are seriously considering that? Because, at some point, obviously, there's going to become a competition amongst those states. But do we know who else is looking into doing away with their income tax?
Well, Arkansas has considered tax reform. Nebraska has been kicking around tax reform. You talk about states with Democratic governors, even Colorado with Governor Polis there, who's a former member of Congress, has said we need to do something about our tax code here in order to preserve our tax base, prevent people from leaving our state. So I think that more and more people are seeing the success stories led by Florida and Texas, but not just those states. Kansas made a mistake with their original tax reform bill, but eventually I think they've come around and made some improvements to their tax code. more and more states are getting the message here that this, again, you have to look at your state like a business, and businesses that offer overpriced services and don't deliver to taxpayers what they're expecting are ultimately going to see more and more people leaving their state, more and more businesses leaving their state.
Okay, the poster, the op-ed is called "Taxpayers in High Tax States Are Fleeing to Low Tax States." Pretty simple. It's at the National Taxpayers Union website, which we'll give you here in a second. Brandon Arnold from NTU is right here with us. I'm just amazed when you break it down to how many people are moving per minute on average. When you say Florida picks up somebody every 2 minutes, that puts it in a very, very real sense that I would hope lawmakers at all states would understand. I would love to be there for there to be a brutal competition over who can make the taxes the lowest. And then you would see obviously the businesses thrive in there as well. So where do we learn more about what you all are tracking, what you're doing? Because the bottom line is I want Missouri lawmakers. I would love for Illinois lawmakers to do it too, but I'd like for Missouri lawmakers to say, okay, what's working? Here's a source for it. Let's do more of that.
Yeah, we're at NTU.org, nationaltaxpayers.org, nationaltaxpayersunion.org. We've got a lot of research out there. We're trying to slice and dice this information in ways that really are digestible and easy for us to wrap our minds around. So that's why we contextualize it like this, talking about the pace at which people are leaving these states and are flocking to Texas, Florida, and other states. So check us out. We're all over social media as well, of course, Facebook and X and all that.
Thanks, Brandon.
Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome.
Now you've got it, and I want it.
What?
And that's 80s Flashback Friday music request. So if there's anything you want to hear as we approach the holiday seasons, anything 80s themed, send it to me at Jerome at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
People talk about federal money as if it falls from heaven. You know, we thank heaven for it, but it came out of people's pockets.
On News Talk STL. 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Live and local.
Listen to what those local folks are telling you.
News Talk STL. Concerned about the condition of your windows driving up your energy bills? I was too. It's only called STL Windows and Doors. Their Provia windows combine old world craftsmanship the professional way, the Provia way, with over 65 years of combined experience, locally owned, offering competitive pricing and personalized service that the big box companies can't match. Call today for your free in-home estimate and start saving tomorrow. 314-277-5952 or stlwindowsanddoors.com.
Hi, it's Mark Harder with RE/MAX Results, the largest RE/MAX franchise in the region. The summer housing market is hot, and the fall market looks to be as hot. If buying or selling a home is in your future, it is time to act now. Someday is not a day on the calendar, but today is. Call me, Mark Harder, for fast results. RE/MAX Results. 314-852-8933. 314-852-8933. And start packing.
If you turned 65 recently like me, it's important you find a Medicare Advantage plan that gives you the coverage you're looking for. But finding one can be difficult. The best thing I did, and I suggest you do the same, is call a licensed insurance agent and let them walk you through your Medicare Advantage plan options. There are so many benefits you have access to, so make the call now and let the representatives explain everything to you. Our licensed insurance agents can offer you a variety of Medicare Advantage plans. Plus, the call is free, the information is free, and there's no obligation to enroll. We're here to make it easy for you to select a Medicare Advantage plan that may work for your needs. Finding a Medicare Advantage plan can be easy if you do what I did. Make a quick call right now to learn more. Thank you.
800-439-7851. 800-439-7851. 800-439-7851. That's 800-439-7851.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey folks,
Jamie Allman here, waiting for you for the 3 Martini lunch, the Common Sense Radio, the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Now back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Okay, my request for everybody. That discussion we just had with Brandon Arnold, that's going to be up on our podcast here, obviously, a little bit after the show's over. Every one of your state lawmakers should hear that.
Yes.
I mean, seriously, forward that. I don't care if it's Republican or Democrat, whoever it is, forward that to them once this posted. If you go to, first of all, if you're subscribed to our podcast, you should get the alert that it's there. A couple of clicks on your phone or on your laptop or whatever, and you can email or text that file. But tell your state lawmakers, hey, there's interesting data that shows this, and it's going to give the conservatives more fodder to push for real tax cuts, at least in Missouri. Illinois, they just need to hear it to kind of be
or move.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So just do that sharing with the lawmakers in particular. And I mean, yeah, sure, share it with your friends and family, but they in particular need to hear this so that they can go in and say, no, we need to get this done. We're not going to do the dance where we talk about big stuff and then, oh gosh darn it, we ran out of time again. So that needs to be delivered. So just check that out there. All right. Not so fast on that new congressional map in Missouri. It turns out, basic details for you here in a second. Illinois' governor, while campaigning for president, doubles down against the feds. And yep, it's all over illegal aliens. And an area college renames its sports teams, at least temporarily. This is kind of interesting. It's very creative. I'm going to give them that. It's very creative. All right, it is 6:50 right now. Let's take a vote. We say, do you know the news dump, guys? Okay, let's do it.
Wake up, America. It all worked out. They get all the news. The morning news dump.
See, democracy.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm in one of those moods.
You slap happy. That's fine.
I'm in a weird mood here.
That's okay.
All right, I got to play baseball yesterday. Okay, opponents of the new Missouri congressional maps, the one that were approved by lawmakers this year, they turned in about 300,000 signatures against it. So that's well over twice the number needed to put the maps on a statewide vote as things stands right now. Once enough signatures are confirmed, and it is almost certain that they have the 107,000 valid signatures that they need, that's going to pause the new map. It's not going to be implemented. And then voters are going to be asked to accept or reject the new maps that Republicans passed this past year. So the bottom line result here is that in the 2026 elections, unless there is some court ruling we don't see coming, the 2026 congressional elections in Missouri will use the same district maps as 2024 and before. And so even then, if voters approve the new map, that would not go into effect until 2028. And it's very questionable whether the voters would approve it anyway.
It is, like we were talking about before, you've got a strong incentive to oppose it from all the Democrats. And for the Republicans, it's going to be very difficult to get everybody to buy in. And because if all the Republicans vote for it, obviously, then it wins.
Right.
But you got to get them out to vote, and you got to get them psyched to vote for that. And I'm not 100% sure about that.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. We're going to talk to Nick Schroer around 8:35 to get his take on that. Okay, the U.S. Senate this week, they're going to vote on not one, but two competing healthcare proposals. Here's the story.
With COVID-era healthcare subsidies set to expire, senators will vote on a Democratic bill to extend the ACA tax credits for 3 years. This vote was promised during the government shutdown, but it lacks the bipartisan support needed for passage. Republicans have a plan that would replace the subsidies with new savings accounts. It, too, is likely to fail. As a result, millions of Americans are bracing for more expensive healthcare coverage. Greg Clugston, Washington.
So basically, the only thing worse than a political dance is an ugly political dance.
Is that what they call mutually assured destruction? Because it kind of sounds like it is.
Yeah, essentially.
Oh,
my goodness. All right. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker signing a bill into law that lawmakers claim bans federal immigration authorities from enforcement actions at or near courthouses and other specified locations. The governor says his state is standing up to the big bad orange man.
Illinoisans, in the face of cruelty and intimidation, have chosen solidarity and support. That should not be overlooked. Donald Trump, Kristi Noem, and Gregory Bovino tried to appeal to our lesser instincts, but the best of us are standing up to the worst of them.
If that is not a campaign stump speech, I don't know what is.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, without a doubt. Okay, so the law, which goes into effect immediately, they say prevents federal officials from conducting law enforcement operations in hospitals, on college campuses, or in daycare facilities, in addition to other specified locations. So basically, they're claiming to be able to outlaw federal law enforcement enforcing federal law as they see fit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm skeptical. I'm highly skeptical. I mean, JB and I got law degrees from the same place, but mine is telling me that in the long run, this loses in court. So, he's making a political gamble.
And the thing is that even if he loses in court, he kind of wins on the campaign.
Yeah, this is completely a win for him from a political campaigning standpoint.
When it comes to the Democratic nomination, but then he's got to go into, flyover country and try to explain to states why he was so dead set against ICE enforcement and for illegal aliens.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're right. It helps him from the nomination standpoint. It doesn't help him from the general standpoint.
All right. The U.S. military can resume the purge of gender dysphoric members.
They can.
Yeah. The federal appeals court stayed a lower court's ruling. And so that allows Secretary Pete Hegseth to implement the policy of discharging servicemen and women who claim to be the opposite sex. So the ruling was a split decision. The two Trump appointees ruling in favor of the policy and one Biden appointee dissenting. GLAAD Law and the National Center for LGBTQ Rights say they will appeal.
Of course they will.
Yep.
They'll probably ask for a rehearing by the full court. But again, it was Katsas and Rao, who are Trump appointees, and Pillard, who's an Obama appointee, and they each went to their respective corners. We've seen this now that we've seen so many cases in front of this appellate court. We've seen this combination of judges on a lot of these cases, and it was interesting. The decision was per curiam, but Katsas had a concurring statement that he wrote, and one of the things that he highlighted was the fact that this is a decision for the political branches, not the judiciary.
Got it. Okay. An incoming freshman lawmaker wants Missouri to make DEI bans illegal.
Okay.
Representative-elect Kim Smith from North County pre-filed a bill that she calls the DEI Protection Act. In the highly unlikely case that this becomes law, kind of snowball's chance in hell kind of odds there, it would basically mandate left-wing DEI programs in K through 12 public schools, in colleges and universities, and in state government.
Yeah. Okay. Good luck with that.
Kim, you're going to go for one.
Yep.
On your first legislation there. Okay. SIUE's teams will have dual identities during the 2026 sports season.
A little confusing.
This is interesting. The university announced that each Cougars team is going to compete under the name the 66ers at least once during the upcoming season. So that's to commemorate the centennial of historic Route 66, or if you prefer, Route 66. The first teams to compete under the alternative name and color scheme will be both the men's and the women's basketball teams. They play Southern Indiana and Edwardsville on January 1st. So go 66ers.
Yay.
And after that, you can say go Cougars again. Blues lost last night to the Bruins at home. Final score was 5-2. And in the words of that great philosopher, Forrest Gump, that's all I have to say about that.
Looking for treasures from the past? Discover Mimi's Antiques Attic, your locally owned and family-operated treasure hunt destination. Explore 16,000 square feet of antiques, crafts, collectibles, and designer items across 225 unique rental spaces. Open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 7, and Sundays, 10 to 6 at 1000 Warrenton Shops in Warrenton. Mimi's Antiques Attic, where every visit uncovers new treasures.
Hello, Kirk Hilsinger, Chairman of the Republican Party, City of St. Louis. Join us for our Christmas party on December 11th. Tickets may be purchased by cash or check, or you may purchase tickets through our website at stl-gop.com. We'll have dinner and silent auction. In addition, we will be collecting donations for Toys for Tots. So bring an unwrapped toy for a family in need. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and we look forward to fighting for you in 2026.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. These pills work for men and women to improve their sexual performance. And now for the price of 2 or 3 pills, you can get nearly 100. There's no need to pay expensive prices for Viagra or Cialis. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Change your life for the better and have fun. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
800-631-2030. 800-631-2030. 800-631-2030. That's 800-631-2030.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNVS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. President Trump acknowledges the Democrats are right. He says prices are too high, but Mr. Trump says that's because of the economic train wreck that was the Biden administration. President Trump says he's working to get that train righted and back on the tracks.
We're bringing those prices down rapidly, lower prices, bigger paychecks. You're getting lower prices, bigger paychecks. We're getting inflation. We're crushing it. And you're getting much higher wages.
Mr. Trump speaking at last night's massive rally in Mount Pocono, Pennsylvania. In the aftermath of Bidenomics, more people have been turning to GoFundMe for help with basic needs, things like housing and food.
The crowdfunding platform's annual report, released on Tuesday, shows a 20% increase in fundraisers for essentials. The year-end help report also shows that monthly bills were the second fastest growing category in 2025. GoFundMe says people around the world find themselves struggling with the rising cost of living, but notes that in those cases, people step up and offer their support. Bob Agnew reporting.
Following yesterday's deadly shooting on the Kentucky State University campus in Frankfort,
one individual who is not a Kentucky State University student is in custody. Frankfort police believe this to be an isolated incident, and there are no active safety concerns on campus at this time.
Frankfort Assistant Police Chief Scott Tracy, heard there on WTVQ-TV, says the suspect, a 48-year-old Indiana man. One person was killed, another injured. Miami voters have elected Eileen Higgins mayor. First time in close to 30 years a Democrat has been elected mayor of Miami. On Wall Street this morning, a check of stock futures. The Dow futures down 42 points. So the NASDAQ futures are off 65. S&P futures 8 points in the red. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-524-4948. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-524-4948. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-524-4948. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-524-4948 or biglou.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch with your first alert forecast. We have issued a first alert weather day as we see the potential for strong winds gusting anywhere to 40 to 50 miles per hour throughout the morning to early afternoon hours today. Then we're going to be seeing mostly cloudy skies. Temperatures continue to fall through the afternoon hours as winds continue out of the northwest, starting to die off. Into Thursday, looking mostly cloudy. Could see some light snow off to the northeast. Most of that going to be staying out of the metro, not looking at any impacts for roadways. And we're cooling into the weekend. The first alert for Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
When water troubles strike, call the family you can trust. Tim Jones here for Ambassador Plumbing, serving our community since 2018 with 25 years of master plumbing expertise from Tim Morris and his handpicked team. Whether it's a simple faucet repair or a complete bathroom remodel, if water runs to it or through it, they do it. From residential service calls to commercial to new construction, the folks at Ambassador are your neighbors treating you like family. Ambassador Plumbing, where faith meets craftsmanship. 636-383-6932 or ambassadorplumbing.com. That's ambassadorplumbing.com.
Why leave your company's story to chance? In today's digital world, video content isn't just an option. It's essential for your success. At Blue Ocean Media Group, we've spent decades crafting compelling visual stories for businesses just like yours. From concept to completion, our award-winning team transforms your vision into powerful video content that connects with your audience and drives results. Don't trust your brand to amateurs. Partner with Blue Ocean Media Group. Visit blueoceanmediagroup.com today, and let's bring your story to life.
Mike Ferguson.
What is that private pile? Sir, jelly donut, sir. A jelly donut?
Susie Moore.
Mama don't like tattletales.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice. Drain the swamp and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, this is your cousin.
Tonight on the Hallmark Channel, Christmas on the Court. He's a handsome former NBA player who lost his job because of too many missed dunks. She's a beautiful and fit pickleball player who has trouble with her dinks. Will she stop dunking her dinks? Is his dunk sunk? And will they both notice each other's perfectly in shape badunk-a-dunk? Do you have more holes in your head than a pickleball? Of course they will. It's Christmas on the Court. Tonight on the Hallmark Channel.
I'm starting to see a pattern.
Yes. And the problem is,
I'm hands up, backing away, Susie. I'm backing away.
I love my Hallmark.
I know you and my mom, you and Vicky.
I love it. And Gabe is a Hallmark person too.
Is he really?
What?
Yes. Yeah. He and I were talking about doing a Hallmark podcast.
You're joking.
No, I am dead serious.
Oh, he's not here to defend himself.
Okay,
now, so.
I'm going to choose to believe that's fake news, but if it does come to fruition, I will tune in. So
Yeah.
I got to hear Gabe talk about Hallmark.
I don't know if we'll actually get that too, but no, he is legit. He understands the value of it.
I'm gonna have so much fun with it.
Sorry, Gabe. No, he's talked about it on the air before. I'm not outing him.
All right. Okay, so I'm gonna admit it that I'm at that certain age as I look at my notes from my reading glasses down at the bottom of my nose. I cannot pretend to understand the fads and the pop trends all the time.
Yeah. Some of them, yeah, some of them, no.
Every generation has them.
Sure.
We got them. We had dumb stuff when we were kids, Susie, it happens. But I'm not the only one who thinks some of these are just dumb.
No.
A national restaurant chain is literally changing their menus because of one of these weirdness of these trends.
Okay.
Did you see this about In-N-Out Burgers?
I didn't, but I think I know where this is going.
Okay. So In-N-Out Burgers, they are removing from their combination item numbers or whatever. They're removing the item number 67. Well, not removing the item, but they're removing the menu option 667.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So because of the whole 6-7 trend, which nobody has ever been able to explain to me, and I've just accepted that I might simply be too old to understand it.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically teenagers apparently around the country have been hanging out in the restaurant there, waiting for somebody to get the call to pick up order 67, and then they lose their stuff.
So it's the chicken jockey thing all over again.
Yes. See, I was getting to that as well here. So here's one of those times somebody recorded it, probably one of the kids, and then an employee explaining why they got rid of item 60 or order number 67.
67.
We have taken 67 out of our system, so whenever we're taking orders, it goes 66 to 68 because of people like you.
I have some thoughts.
Please,
Okay.
because I'm having trouble comprehending this.
Well, first of all, it kind of reminds me of the fact that how a lot of buildings don't have a floor 13 when you
Oh,
go in
yeah.
the elevator.
Yeah,
You
no,
just
that's true,
skip
yeah.
13. Okay, so that's a superstition, not
Yep.
a this. Okay, the 6-7 thing. Yeah, I get it. I don't get it. We're not supposed to get it. But I did see this yesterday from our vice president. Yesterday at church, the Bible reading started on page 66, 67 of the Missal, and my 5-year-old went absolutely nuts, repeating 6-7 like 10 times. And now I think we need to make this narrow exception to the First Amendment and ban these numbers forever. That's our vice president.
Well, and ironically, 6 + 7 is 13.
Ironically, it is.
But yeah, no, the entire meme trend of that, I don't even get it. And I can usually sometimes I figure out where it comes from. It's just
You're my translator a lot of times.
Yeah, and it's just not very skibbity. But
It's like Seinfeld. It's a show about nothing. It's a meme about nothing, basically.
quite literally, and I'm trying to think back because I mean, to be fair to my generation, you guys are around the age where pet rocks were a thing, and
That was a little above us, but not a whole lot. I mean, like I remember them,
Okay,
I
so
was
say
I was little when my brother had a pet rock.
Okay, as I say, because my uncle's around you guys' age, and he actually asked for one for Christmas one year when he was a kid. But and then before that, my grandfather was talking about how people used to stuff themselves into phone booths, to see how many people would just fit, and that was like a trend. So
yeah, that was in like the 50s.
Yeah.
But that was the thing people were doing. So I think that at a certain level, people innately just find weird and wacky things to do to amuse themselves. But now because of social media, and especially going back to the chicken jockey thing from that Minecraft movie.
Yeah, see, that's what this reminded me of.
I'm not familiar with that.
Okay, so it was something stupid. Somebody online, there's a line in the movie where Jack Black.
We're talking about the movie Minecraft with Jack Black.
Never saw it. Yeah.
So there's a line in the movie, and I've never seen the movie, so I don't know the full context. But he says the words chicken jockey, and some people went online saying, well, okay, whenever he says that in the movie theater, you're going to start throwing your popcorn around and acting like a fool. And then it started to spread, and people were, and I kind of hope that somebody out there's listening and their kids sitting there like chicken jockey, and they're I'm sorry if I'm ruining your car right now, but
yeah, but if that got to the point where some theaters age restricted that movie, which is for kids, and then at some point they were bringing in people and like lecturing the theater before the movie, and some of them end up even like calling the cops, and some theaters just dropped the movie because the kids were waiting for that line, and then they trashed the place.
Didn't they ever go to Rocky Horror Picture Show? I mean, that was the whole point of that whole movie.
That's true, yeah.
And that was back in the 70s and 80s.
That's true.
So.
See, I don't know. My tinfoil brain likes to believe that this is like the sleeper agent activation code, and that's what we're saying. Is they're indoctrinating people through the memes because I mean, why? I've been a teenager. I had a car. I went to the mall. We would do some knucklehead stuff at the mall sometimes for fun. But you know what we didn't do? We didn't hang out at restaurants waiting for a number to be called in my order all day.
That's true. That's true. And now you can't go to the mall because none of them exist anymore.
Yeah. I mean, that was our hangout. Is we
Big
would just
time.
meet up at the mall. Inside, you'd walk up and down, and the security kept trying to run us off. Even though we weren't
there were
doing anything.
McDonald's.
Yeah,
those were our hangouts.
Did you do cruising? See, in Quincy, Illinois, because I lived just outside Quincy, and then I lived in Quincy. You would cruise the mall. You'd go either up and down Broadway, or you would just drive around the mall and you cruise. And then when I was in college in Warrensburg, the locals, they had a cruising route. We're talking like the adults, the grown-ups,
right?
And that's what they would do on weekends. And the students were not welcome at all. So cruising was actually still a thing, literally in the 90s.
It was a little harder to do that in West County, like Baldwin, Chesterfield, Town and Country. I mean, we drove around a lot, just looking for something to do, but I wouldn't necessarily call it cruising.
I would go on night drives. I enjoyed those. Again, what I didn't do is we didn't see like a highway marker 67 and then start swerving our car back and forth. I mean,
we did a lot of dumb stuff.
See, that's the thing is all generations have something dumb.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that my parents and my grandparents' generation looked at this the way I'm looking at this, but maybe it's because I'm at that age now, and I have to admit that I'm going into my mid 50s. I'm 53. So
you're a baby.
I'm just saying that
I'm the old one in the room.
Yeah, but you look younger than the rest of us.
You look the youngest in the room.
But that's it just seems like it's getting dumber and dumber and dumber.
It could be.
Well, but that's because it is. I mean, I just turned 30 this year, and I'm 100% on board. I'm looking at this stuff, and I'm like, please don't tell me that's how I looked a few years ago with some of the stuff we were doing. And then I'm like, we probably did, but we were not trashing places. We were not littering everywhere and disrupting everything. I mean,
we walked around in parachute pants and wearing one glove.
Well, you guys were having like
Oh,
random
yeah.
breakdancing battles in the streets. Apparently, you guys, with the
I could
cardboard
do the
boxes.
worm.
Or
Like I could do a mean worm. I'm telling
Fingerless
you.
lace gloves. were
That's
big,
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
The difference too is social media because things didn't. I mean, it was word of mouth. Things didn't go viral because someone posted a video online. They went viral because kids saw the other kids doing it, and it kind of spread like the wave in a stadium. So it's a different. I think the intensity maybe is, and the awareness of adults of it is different because of social media.
And then the reward aspect as well, because for some reason, everybody when I was in grade school, we knew about the ick touch, right? And so you go to another school, everybody was like, "Hey, ooh, you got the touch, can't touch back," right? That was the thing that even my mom was telling me.
What
is that? Not Missouri?
Is
thing?
that no? Wait a minute. Is that like
Like
the
little
newer
kids,
the newer version of cooties?
Kind of, but it was almost like a game of tag, but like you would be like you have like the cheese touch, and then everyone would run away from them, and then you would spend all day trying not to get the cheese touch, right?
No.
Okay, so my mom was even like, "Oh yeah, we did that as kids." So maybe that's more.
It might be
northern thing.
geographical.
But the thing was is that you had to participate in it for it to be a thing, whereas now it's like you post a video of you acting like this, and you get flooded with the dopamine because it's getting a bunch of likes and views, and now you feel rewarded. So you see somebody else do that, you're like, "Well, we could do that. Let's try to one up like planking." When people were like laying flat on
Planking
stuff.
at least gave you an exercise in your core.
It was the ice bucket challenge.
Yeah.
See, but
Remember
that
was a
ended up
big-
doing some good.
Yeah, I mean, it was a fundraiser.
It was a fundraiser
but
for.
it was kind of silly.
Yeah, it was. My son did that.
We did that.
Yeah. So yeah, some of them it's like some of them are fine, some of them are not. And
Yeah, some of them are dumb.
yeah, and that's
really
really
dumb.
especially ones like you said, the ones that are trashing a place. Now, Rocky Horror Picture Show, of course, like if a theater signs up to show that, especially if they have the live performers going,
right?
That's part of the deal. That's
It
what
is part
you're
of the deal.
supposed to do. You're supposed to bring
The
big roles
varsity
of-
knew what it was getting into when it was hosting the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah, and then the like you bring toilet paper and all that kind of stuff. I
Mhm.
mean, and as far as the dopamine, I'll let you read into whatever Frankenfurter was, was bringing to that table.
Well, since we're being nostalgic and since it's Wednesday, we're putting out the call for 80s bump music because we're going to have Flashback Friday in just a couple days, and we need your suggestions. Send them in to Jerome at NewsTalkSTL.
Don't try to make me stop. No inspiration. You have the soul so dark, it is no more. And all at once depart, no destination.
Mike Ferguson in the morning
I like it, but they're going a little overboard with the dancing.
on News Talk STL. Columbo and Company.
Redistricting back at the forefront of local news, along with the latest push for a statewide red flag law, we'll discuss Wednesday with Mo Political Insider Rodney Boyd, plus Danny Define and Closest Cabinet.
Live and local weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Located in the heart of St. Charles, Kevin's Guns is your family-owned destination for all things firearms. Whether you're a collector, hunter, or military enthusiast, we have it or can get it for you. From new to used rifles and handguns in every style and caliber, our friendly and knowledgeable staff is here to help educate you and ensure you make the perfect choice for your needs. Buy, sell, or browse our incredible selection at kevinsguns.net or call 636-493-1195. Kevin's Guns, where gun enthusiasts come home.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Kate Monroe. I was in the Marine Corps. I don't think people really understand that the National Guard is essentially your neighbors. I mean, this would be like your house is on fire and all the great men and women on your block that are capable of helping you put out said fire, you call the police on them and then let your house burn down. That is essentially what these cities are doing. Because Orange Man wants to send people to help us, we're going to go ahead and let it just burn down.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Hey, Jamie Allman here for O'Fallon Family Floors, O'FallonFamilyFloors.com. Brian and his team, they're just amazing people. They're so proud of their operation. Pride in every installation. You can see that in the Google reviews. Pride in the great quality, pride in the great pricing, pride in the great variety, and pride in the fact that you can go into the store right off of Highway K at O'Fallon, or the store will come to you. That's the promise of O'Fallon Family Floors, O'FallonFamilyFloors.com.
Hungry for the best steak you'll ever have? Head to the heart of Moscow Mills and discover Harry J's, a local landmark and family-owned steakhouse, serving up excellence since '98. From mouth-watering appetizers to decadent desserts, Harry J's has something for everyone. Enjoy our extensive bar selection while soaking in our friendly family atmosphere. Whether dine-in or carry-out, your meal is prepared to perfection. Make the drive to 300 Main Street and treat yourself to a taste of Moscow Mills' finest. Harry J's, more than a steakhouse. We're a tradition.
This is so stupid.
St. Louis's.
Okay, I'm hanging up on you now.
Place to talk. News Talk STL.
Hey, Chris Arps from the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. Make sure that you're listening to our show this afternoon from 4 to 6. Now back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show.
Allison asked if everybody remembers Chinese fire drills at stop signs.
Yep.
I never did that, but I remember hearing about it more. I think that might have been more like a 70s thing, 60s, 70s thing, but I remember
Early
hearing
80s.
about it. A little bit 80s too, yeah.
Is that where you stop the car and everybody gets out?
Everybody gets out and runs all over the place.
So
yeah.
we have something in common then.
Yes.
Yeah.
Finally.
So, and it was called the Chinese fire drill, which is, I'm sure, probably considered
Totally
culturally
politically
insensitive
incorrect.
now or something like that.
But we weren't thinking of it in those terms.
Right.
And since we're still on the topic of trends, real quick, I just want to say, for anybody that this is relevant to, you just lost the game. So you guys probably have no idea what I'm talking about.
I have no clue what you're talking about.
That was a millennial thing. And I'm sure that there
Oh.
are a few millennials out there that are like, wow, I just lost the game after however many years that we've forgotten about it. So
there you go.
Okay, so one story my dad told me, but for when he was a teenager in Columbia, Missouri, is that one of his buddies, apparently he and my older uncle, so my dad's the oldest, then Ron, and then my uncle Rick, or my dad was the oldest. My dad died a number of years ago. When they were in high school, apparently one of their buddies' parents owned a funeral home. And so they would get out the hearse, turn on the headlights, they'd all line up behind the hearse, and they would just drive through Columbia very slowly, and everybody would just get out of the way, and they would just drive.
Funeral procession.
They would just drive all over town, until some point a cop figured out. He's like, no, you're not doing that.
It's kind of silly fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Technically, you shouldn't be doing
You're
it, but
messing
it's
with traffic.
relatively harmless.
Yeah, because people stop and pull over, and you're going through
Some people take their hats off. Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of those kids, get this: an entire country bans most teenagers from being on social media at all.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're going to give you the details on that here in just a moment, but let's talk about other stuff that's going on here. We got Trump on tour again. He had another rally last night, escalating military tensions, more leftist malfeasance. That because it's a day that ends in Y. A lot going on these days. So, Susie, what is hot on RedState today? I'm stretching.
Okay,
Yesterday was National Stretch Day.
National Stretch.
Yesterday was.
And
It was
National Lager Day, and I'm going to be pushed
exactly.
into drinking something.
I might need some.
I know. I'm just saying.
All I've got is coffee.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Let me.
There we go.
This is the Red State Rundown.
Hey, everybody needs best friends, right? Well, illegal immigrants are lucky because J.B. Pritzker is their best friend. One of our stories today, we were talking about this earlier. It's by Bob Hogue. It's titled "J.B. Pritzker is an illegal immigrant's best friend, signs new anti-ICE law." Check that one out for sure. This is crazy. Locker room, school, girl in boys' locker room, boys complain, boys get in trouble.
What?
It's Virginia. It's Loudoun County.
Oh.
Eli Shepard has that story today. DOJ steps in after boys get punished for telling the truth. Last but not least, we talked about Trump being on tour. He was touting the economy. He had some really good news to share with us last night. During his speech in Pennsylvania, he shared an incredible update about the National Guardsman Andrew Wolf, who was shot in the D.C. terror attack. Apparently, Andrew was able to get up yesterday. He is making progress. So, good news. Go check that one out from Katie Jerkovich.
Because you remember early on, the reporting on that was that both guardsmen, and obviously one woman, that they had been killed.
Yes.
And then we find out that one, he's surviving and apparently recovering. That's great because
recovering.
there was the other the guard's woman. She died.
She did
in that attack. Yeah. All right. So redstate.com is where you find all of that. Okay. So Australia, they have a new law that went into effect. I believe it went into effect today, actually, that bans social media for anybody 15 and under. They cannot legally have an account on Facebook, on TikTok, on Instagram, Snapchat, not even YouTube. So the government is saying social media, bad for kids. Therefore, the government is making it illegal for any of these companies to issue an account to somebody who's 15 years old or younger. So once you're 16, you can then legally have a social media account here. So first of all, good luck enforcing that.
Yeah.
And so the age restrictions, apparently over 1 million Facebook and Instagram accounts just disappeared overnight.
Wow.
Because because before it was 12 or 13 that you could open up an account, whatever it was when it first started, something like that.
Honestly, don't know because I was much older than that when I started an account.
But at some point, and then we all know that. I know kids who were 8 or 9 who had accounts.
Yeah. Well, my daughter did to have to play the games.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even her real name. She just had a fake account so she could play some of the games.
Right. So companies face steep fines if they do not deactivate kids' accounts, and they have to take reasonable steps, whatever that's going to be, to keep kids 15 and under from setting up an account. So basically the law was actually passed about a year ago. So everybody had a year to try to figure out how to do this. Apparently 2 or 3/4 of Australians actually support the law.
Yeah.
To me, it's like, well, how about parents take care of that sort of thing instead of making the government your parents? I understand the appeal to say, okay, get the kids off social media.
Yeah.
It's just toxic. I get that. So there's 2 questions. Is it a good idea to not have a kid on social media at a certain age? But then again, is it the government's job to use the force of government to make that kind of rule?
Both very good questions. And I am somebody who has mixed feelings about it because while I recognize the value of limiting, if not, completely keeping kids off social media until they are a little bit more mature, there's big value in that. Yes, ultimately that responsibility should be the parents, but it seems to me that from a practical standpoint, that's still going to be the case. Because if kids really want to get around it, they're going to find a way around. And if parents really don't want their kids on social media, they've got it's their responsibility to make sure of that.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm wondering about it is this. When seatbelt laws first became a thing, the libertarian argument against that, understandably, was, look,
I was there.
This is your personal choice. If you choose not to do it, it's on you. I get that. But they became a law, and pretty soon, pretty much everybody was wearing seatbelts.
We adapted.
Everybody adapted, and I'm leery of that. The slippery slope part of that, it makes me a little leery. But I just wonder look, kids, it's the law. You're not supposed to be on social media. We're going to enforce that. Parents talking to their kids.
Right.
Look, when you're 16, go crazy. That's fine. But until then, no, we're gonna abide by the law. It gives that little bit of reinforcement into it. And I just wonder from an attitudinal standpoint, if that doesn't help get us to a place where you are keeping younger kids and adolescents away from this harm. So I'm really mixed on it.
Unintended consequences, Jerome, what could happen?
Unintended consequences. Really, I think they're quite obvious. Is you're going to have people that are either they are not in favor of the rules, so they're going to make a fake account, as one of the people in the comments mentioned, and it's not going to really do a whole lot. In terms of when it comes to socialization, if you are the type of person where you don't have a lot of opportunities to socialize, it can cause you to feel more isolated. And I don't know, I'm trying to find a way to be the devil's advocate in the situation with certain movies. For example, PG-13, you have to have somebody over 13, with you to see the movie. We don't let
in theory,
I've
never seen that actually enforced.
Well, rated R. I was 17 and my cousin or 16
I was going to rated R movies when I was 15.
Okay, but you're an 80s kid.
Yeah.
That doesn't fly in 2008. Okay.
But people got around it, but the general consensus was, okay, you knew that you weren't supposed to. There was
I felt very naughty.
Right.
Okay, so this is just you bragging that you were a cooler kid than I was, Mike. But my point is, so
I saw TNA.
You could see that on cable back then.
Right.
Yeah, I had National Geographic. Okay, but
That's right.
But no. So I was 16. My cousin who was 19 wanted to go take me to see a movie. I think it was Public Enemy, and we were both in a mob guy kind of movie, and they said no, you can't do that because that's not your legal guardian. So there are instances, because we know that things are not good for minors, and we've seen the data showing that social media specifically is extremely harmful to psychological and the adjustment and the development of the young mind. So I can understand from that standpoint, it may not be the worst thing, but at the same time, too, the way that the world's developed is that kids don't go out and play in the playgrounds anymore. They don't really have opportunities. A lot of parents are not forcing their kids to be part of extracurriculars.
Mm-hmm.
So if all you do, if you have a single parent and they work all day and you're home alone and you can't be online, then people don't answer their phones to begin with. So
that was actually part of the reason that people pushed the law, is like, we are going to make kids get outdoors and face to face and socialize again. That was literally one of the arguments for the law.
It's kind of a sound argument. I mean, I guess push come to shove, I can't really get too undone about the law. I understand the concerns about is it overreach, but I don't know.
Yeah, I completely buy into the argument. Social media, there are good things on social media. Don't get me wrong. But overall, it's just toxic. Overall.
So I used to be very into online video games. So, and I mean, I was like 10 years old playing online video games with fully grown adults. Nothing creepy or bad happened, but it was just sort of those were the people that were in my little crew that I played with. Do they consider online gaming part of this? Because
that's a good question. I don't know. I mean, this specifically referenced social media platforms. I don't know if games are considered social media.
My suspicion is that there's a carve out for them.
Yeah.
Because gaming, yes, there are potential hazards there
We've
as
talked
well.
about that, yeah.
But I feel like that's one of those things that you wouldn't get as much buy-in on because lots of people, have let their kids play video games, good, better, and different, and don't, that'd be taking like a really big activity away. I don't know.
Well, and because right now what we're seeing, especially with some of these terrible evil groups, the way that most children are being preyed upon, it's not the stranger in the van with candy, it is through online video gaming, and that's how they're using it. So if they're going to allow kids to be on these video games and parents are not going to be supervising that, then these same harms, it actually becomes harder to keep an eye on your kids' activity and who they're in contact with versus if they had like a Facebook account where you can see who their friends are and you can say, look, you're going to add me as your friend and I'm going to be online with you. So I think that would probably be the biggest, is that they're going to have to do something about that. And I'm not saying they should, but they're going to have to if they really want to keep kids safe online.
There was actually a hearing in the U.S. Senate this week on the whole gaming thing. I mean, and so you've got Dick Durbin and Josh Hawley basically on the same side. So this may be one where they are going to allow the FBI to really crack down on this sort of thing.
According to AI, Australia's new social media law as of December 2025 specifically excludes online gaming platforms like Roblox, Discord, and Steam from its ban of under 16s.
Okay, so yeah, Discord and online gaming platforms that you're doing nothing productive here.
Well, I don't know. Speaking of AI, it's changing the world, sometimes for the better, but it could also be used to make the world a more dangerous place. We're going to give you that perspective coming up next.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Someone in that control room is out of control.
On NewsTalkSTL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch with your first alert forecast. We have issued a first alert weather day as we see the potential for strong winds gusting anywhere to 40 to 50 miles per hour throughout the morning to early afternoon hours today. Then we're going to be seeing mostly cloudy skies. Temperatures continue to fall through the afternoon hours as winds continue out of the northwest, starting to die off. Into Thursday, looking mostly cloudy. Could see some light snow off to the northeast. Most of that going to be staying out of the metro, not looking at any impacts for roadways. And we're cooling into the weekend. The first alert for Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch.
Your business moves fast. PRI Global keeps it moving smarter for almost 30 years, delivering top tech talent to help companies grow stronger, custom applications, simplifying your operations, securing your data, modernizing your business from the cloud up. And with Prismatic, you're going to get real-time insights, automated workflows, people, process, platform. PRI Global delivers all three. PRIGlobal.com.
Larry Connor's commentary, brought to you by Vincent's Jewelers, offering a wide selection of jewelry, including lab-grown diamonds, affordable earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and rings, up to 75% off their natural counterparts. Visit VincentsJewelers.com. This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
When my girls were growing up, I wanted them to experience different foods. They would look at it and refuse, but I told them, you have to try at least one time. If you don't like it, okay, but at least you tried. One of those experiences involved escargot. Now, to be truthful, when I was their age, if you wanted me to eat escargot, you'd have to threaten me or pay me. In fact, it was not until I got into my 20s I ever had Chinese food. I was Texas beef and potatoes, maybe hot dogs. In my ignorance, I thought all Chinese food consisted of raw fish. And to me, raw fish, that's not something I'm eating. Raw fish is bait for fishing. Of course, in time, I learned the difference between Chinese food in general, sushi, and sashimi. Now I enjoy all of it. So at that time, I just wanted my girls to have a more open mind than I did at their age. And of course, in time, all of our tastes changed. I know mine had. The first time we ordered escargot, it came to the table, cooked, put back in the shells for presentation. My oldest looked at it and asked her mother, "What did Dad say this is?" "Escargot." Without missing a beat, my 10-year-old said, "That looks like snails to me."
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
License number E2014A.
Hey, it's good to see you.
You know, there's a certain way we do things around here, the Grasser way.
The Grasser way?
We don't cut corners and we don't take shortcuts. Not on the little stuff and not on the big stuff.
We do the big stuff.
That's right. Whole home generators that kick on the moment the grid gives up. Lights stay on, heat stays on, your family stays safe, so your house stays warm.
And your ice cream stays frozen.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeservices.com.
This December 13th, join wreaths across America at Belle Reve Garden Cemetery as we remember the fallen, honor those who serve, and teach our children the value of freedom. Help us lay remembrance wreaths on the graves of our fallen heroes. Sponsor a wreath, volunteer, or bring your family to this meaningful tribute to our veterans, because every hero deserves to be remembered. Learn more and sponsor a wreath. Visit NewsTalkSTL.com.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 2 times every weekend on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. You could also reach Doug at 844-6766. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
Thanks for being my voice in all this.
This is News Talk STL.
There are people out there that feel the way that I feel and say what I say.
Welcome home.
Hi, this is Susie Moore. Check out my show, RedState Radio, Sunday afternoon at 4, right here on News Talk STL. Now it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Okay, while your kid uses AI, to write their homework assignment for them, I hope the teacher doesn't catch it, which is what a lot of them are doing. When we use AI to, for instance, fact check stuff like we just did a few minutes ago, could other adversaries be using AI in a way that just frankly makes the entire world less safe?
Sure.
Yeah. We're now joined by Ward Clark from RedState. And Ward, I thought it was interesting in your article on this, you referenced that old movie War Games, which we had no clue what AI, we didn't even have a concept of AI back when that was Matthew Broderick was on that. So you use that as kind of the setup for what's happening, because this is part of the negotiations. We're talking about regulating AI, and there's the whole intellectual property, there's the misinformation thing, but you're talking about something potentially much more serious, specifically with China. So kind of lay the groundwork for that.
Well, it was, I did reference that movie, pardon me, it was 1983 that movie came out. And up until that point, the only thing we had seen for AI in movies was, HAL in 2001. And I'm afraid I can't do that, Dave. China is, I'm afraid China can do that. And what they're talking about doing is putting an artificial intelligence at least partly in control of their nuclear arsenal, which is growing by leaps and bounds. They are building nuclear weapons almost as fast as they're building coal-fired electrical plants. And part of the reason for that seems to be that they are reacting to an old nuclear strategy called a decapitation strike, where the first round of missiles is aimed at taking out an enemy's command structure. Their heads of their government, the heads of their military, major military and governmental institutions in our places. They'd hit the missile silos in the Midwest. They'd hit Washington. They'd hit key communications points like Kansas City and Philadelphia. And China's worried about that. And an AI control, at least in part of that arsenal, gives them a way to retaliate, even if their leadership is completely taken out.
So I guess I see the logic of that, Ward. Hi, good morning, by the way. Thanks for joining us.
Have you guys met? You guys know each
we've
other?
met.
Okay, yeah,
We've had a
okay,
conversation
just
or two.
saying, just saying.
So this is one of those where, okay, I can kind of see the logic behind why you would do that. But obviously that invites all kinds of pitfalls, because the weird thing about the nuclear age is that there's this level of, it kind of ties into mutually assured destruction, which I mentioned earlier.
That's what I was thinking.
There's
Was there
this level
shades of
of
that?
conscientiousness that you're going to have with humans involvement that you wouldn't have with AI. And I'm trying to wrap my brain around, is it better to go without that or to go with that?
Well, we don't know to what extent China is proposing to do this. They're not going to take humans completely out of the loop in this decision process. The Chinese are pretty inscrutable, but I don't think they would hand everything over. This already almost happened once. I'm trying to prompt my mind to remember what year it was, but it was back during the Cold War days, back during the Soviet Union days, when the Soviet computerized defense system identified the sun glancing off some ice clouds high in the atmosphere as missile launches. And the entire Soviet apparatus went on launch status, except for there was one guy somewhere in their missile control complex that just said, wait, this doesn't feel right. I don't think the Americans would just suddenly launch an attack. And he basically took the initiative and waited, which the Soviet Union wasn't known for people taking the initiative and doing anything on their own, but he did. And he may have prevented World War III.
Yeah.
This one Russian guy sitting in a control center because something didn't feel right. And AI can't intuit like that. It can't look back at recent events and go, the Americans made no sign they were going to do anything like this. This doesn't seem right.
So, Ward, we're visiting with Ward Clark from RedState.com, because when you mentioned mutually assured destruction a little bit ago, that was going through my mind too, is that there were the shades of that mindset back in the Cold War on this. And so, Ward, in that context, when you're talking about, the decapitation strikes and that response, is China saying that this is something that would be defensive or retaliatory, or is there a worry that this could be offensive and in an initiative sort of approach?
Well, I think there's always that worry with China. China is a dramatically different culture. We dealt with the Soviet Union and mutually assured destruction for many years, and the Russians are still basically products of Western Europe and the Western European culture. They love their children. They want them to have a world to grow up in. China sees things very differently, and it's hard to comprehend to us how differently they see things. Human life is a lot cheaper in China. I don't know that they wouldn't be willing to throw away half their population for a victory in a global war. And they could very well throw away half their population and have a lot left. They've got millions and millions of people living out in this vast countryside, living basically a 19th century lifestyle. You can't really hurt them with an EMP because a lot of them don't have electricity. And they might decide to do that. It's hard to say what they might find logical because they think differently than we do. The other thing about China is we tend to look at history and historical trends in terms of decades or hundreds of years at the most. They think in terms of thousands of years. It's the same in Japan. I've spent a lot of time in Japan. One friend I made over there took me to see the Shinto temple that his family visited every week, and apologized because it was the new one. The old one was on the other side of town. His shrine was only 1,200 years old.
Oh.
They probably didn't even take the tags off yet.
Their perspective's a lot different than ours
is.
in that
It is.
respect. I'm sitting here in a place that was settled after World War II.
Yeah, you guys are just babies. Ward, I'm going to kind of take a little detour here, but you cover this topic quite a bit. And we've seen in recent weeks some definitely rising tensions between Japan and China. Obviously, China's been eyeing Taiwan for a long time, and we've been very cognizant of that, and that plays a role in our, our military strategy and our foreign policy. But we're seeing a lot of tension out in the open between China and Japan, and I just wanted to get your take on that because obviously that could boil over into something where you start getting weapons like this involved.
It very well could. Japan is our best ally in the North Pacific, probably our best ally in the Pacific period, except maybe Australia. It's a lot. It's changed a lot since my father was preparing to deploy to the Pacific in 1945. But Japan, their new prime minister, Sanai Taichi, is the Iron Lady of Japan. She's kind of their version of Margaret Thatcher. She's tough, and she will not back down from anybody. Japan, for the last several years, has kind of been dialing their military back in. Our new F-35s that we've sold them have given them the ability to convert some of their helicopter carriers into basically light aircraft carriers. They're building an offensive capacity they didn't have 20, 30 years ago. And it's because of China. Now, China and Japan have really bad history much more recently than thousands of years ago. We go back, 90 years to the rape of Nanking and a lot of bad blood from World War II. And don't think they don't remember that very clearly. And China is doing things like yesterday I believe I reported that they were illuminating Japanese aircraft with missile fire control radar. Now, this is an old Cold War game, and we used to do it too. We did it to the Russians, we did it to the Chinese, and they did it to us. But it's generally considered a pretty hostile act because, one press of a button and there's a missile on its way to your aircraft. I think tensions between Japan and China are only going to grow worse, and it's important to remember we have a treaty obligation. If China attacks Japan, basically they're attacking us too. And I hope it doesn't happen because I've spent a lot of time in Japan. I love Japan. I love the country. I love the people. I love the food. I love everything about Japan. I don't want to live there, but I would hate to see Japan come under attack by China because they're still a very small country. They would fight bravely, but I'm afraid they would be overwhelmed.
Yeah. Hey, Ward, we just got a minute or so left. Ward Clark from RedState.com. So when you come back, let's tie this up kind of where we started with the AI aspect of this with China. What is it that U.S. policymakers, military leaders, how should they be addressing this? I mean, what is it that we can't control what China's going to do, but what is it that we could do? What would they be wise to consider?
That's a good question. Reiterate our support for Japan. China has to understand, and I think they do, that if they take on Japan, if they do anything, they take on us. But we should also be making sure Taiwan's security is good because this might be a distraction from a move on Taiwan. There hasn't been any real solid indications of that yet, but I wouldn't rule it out. Sooner or later, China is going to come for Taiwan.
All right. You can find the article. It's called AI's Nuclear Nightmare Machines Now Poised to Spark Global War. And it's a RedState.com written by Ward Clark. Ward, good chat with you, man. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ward.
So that new congressional map in Missouri that we've been talking about, the one that the Republicans call the Missouri First Map, it's probably not going to be in effect for next year's election. So we'll update you on that coming up here at 7:50.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
He picked the wrong schoolyard to come into, I have to tell you this.
On News Talk STL.
When it comes to spending your tax dollars and teaching your kids, governments and school districts should be an open book. But in Missouri, that's not always the case. Recently, the Show Me Institute sent out a sunshine law request to school districts across the state, asking for information on whether certain topics are being taught. Specifically, a controversial one called critical race theory was included in the list. Many districts didn't respond. Some wanted to charge large fees to process the documents. Lee's Summit outside Kansas City wanted over $35,000. A rural district, Morgan County, wanted $15,000. The Sunshine Law does allow charging a reasonable fee for sending out information, but there's nothing reasonable about $35,000 or $15,000. These districts should want to be transparent about their curriculums. Taxpayers deserve to know what their kids are being taught. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Hey, it's Susie Moore here. You know, it's that time of year where you're trying to figure out when and where you can get together with your friends, kind of do a little pre-holiday celebration. Well, what better place than in the heart of West County? It's close, it's convenient, it's Harpo's Chesterfield, where they have great food and great drinks. They've got daily specials. You can always check out what their specials are by going to harposstl.com. Today being a Wednesday, the special, I believe, is like a 10-ounce strip steak, a couple sides. It's a great value. But every day they've got drink and food specials. It's a great sports bar atmosphere. So whatever game you might be interested in watching, that you can go there and watch that as well. Have I mentioned the food? Yeah, the food is really good. They've got a great variety. They've got a very full menu. I just kind of keep always zeroing in on the burgers because they're so good. But whatever you're in the mood for, you can get it there at Harpo's. Plus, they've got fun and energetic staff. And again, they've got little different events going on. You can always check out what they've got going on by going to their Facebook page or their Instagram. Or again, if you want to know what their specials are, you can go to harposstl.com. Whether you're dining in or carrying out, make Harpo's Chesterfield your go-to.
Remember those magical moments in Mom's kitchen? The heavenly aroma of fresh baked cookies? At Trolley Stop Bakery in Chesterfield's Forum Shopping Center, our co-op of talented bakers has been perfecting that homemade magic for 4 decades. From the gooeyest cookies in town to custom pies, cobbers, and cakes, everything's made from scratch, just like Mom and Grandma's recipes. Need that perfect corporate gift? We ship our famous cookies nationwide. The Trolley Stop Bakery, 67 Forum Shopping Center, or TrolleyStopBakery.com. Because some traditions are too sweet not to share.
Bill O'Reilly here. Check out the O'Reilly Update this afternoon at 3:45. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, that new congressional map in Missouri.
Yeah.
One Jerome just mentioned that Republicans call the Missouri First map. Governor Keogh calls it that. A lot of others call it that. Looks like that's likely to be paused for at least 2 years. Let me start with the basic premise that people are not going to like hearing. The far left, at this point, they won this round in deep red Missouri.
Dangnabbit.
That's what's happened. Now, barring some unexpected court ruling somewhere, here's how things stand. Yesterday, right after the show ended, the group People Not Politicians, and I'm not saying this as a joke, but I'm saying is that they literally, the leadership, the organizers of this organization, first of all, they executed a petition drive that was impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, they used a lot of out-of-state money. You know, they raised like there are some reports now that are saying they raised $4, maybe $5 million for this.
Jeez.
And I don't know what the actual numbers are. That's just a report that was sent to me a little bit ago. But they raised it well over $1 million. It could be 4 million or more. A lot of it was from out of state. So they executed, just logistically speaking, a very impressive signature drive around the state. They most certainly have enough signatures to put this map on the ballot. Now, as I was starting to say a second ago before I got off track, People Not Politicians, the leadership, the organizers, they literally have affiliations and contacts with the Communist Party in the United States.
Which used to be alarming to hear that said. And I think there's people that are
They
kind of
just shrug.
numb to it and shrug. Yeah.
They just shrug. Yeah. But that's literally this. Now, I'm going to be really honest. I know that I'm kind of, some of my friends in the legislature get annoyed when I say I'm kind of agnostic on the map thing.
Yeah.
I just am. I'm kind of over it because, you know, both sides do it. I understand the push. I think the push on both the left and the right is completely out of sync with what the redistricting should be about.
Yes.
I think it is outside the spirit of the Constitution. I think it is inside the spirit of tribal partisanship.
Yep.
And I think both sides are guilty. I completely understand why the Republicans are now responding to it.
Yes.
The left is just better at this than the right is. It's dirty play, and they're better at it.
Yeah.
So where we're at right now, Susie, is that 300,000 plus signatures have been turned in.
That's a lot of signatures.
Yeah, 92,000 of those are in question.
Yeah.
And there's like lawsuits over that.
Right.
So let's take what I think is the most probable outcome is that I think a judge is going to rule that those 92,000 that were collected before the law was even signed and before the petition was approved, those get thrown out.
Yep.
And they should.
Yeah, I think so too.
I mean, I think that's the right thing. Well, that leaves over 200,000, over 205,000 signatures. Even if half of those are invalid, you're still around that 107,000 mark.
Yeah.
And you're not going to lose 50% of them. The reality is they have the signatures as things stand right now to put on the ballot. So what this means is that if you were really excited about the 7-1 map to give Republicans another seat, that's not the map that's going to be voted on. Well, the map will be voted on, but the congressional districts will be the same as last year.
Yeah.
So 6 Republicans, 2 Democrats are going to be elected.
Realistically, yes.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen. And if voters okay the map, then 2028 things will be different, but then we'll be 2 years away from the next census.
Yeah. Well, but then that might inform that next redistricting that's official under the census. So I don't know. I mean, is it a bigger deal for Missouri? No, it was a much bigger deal for Texas.
Yeah.
It's a bigger deal in California. I don't know what Indiana is going to end up doing, so we'll see. But I maybe I'm just tired. I'm just worn out over it. Why don't we just have geographically dense population districts? Like, why can we just do that? I know the concern is that the Democrats will still fight dirty, even if we try to do that. But that would just seem to me to make the most sense and save a lot of money in terms of litigation, petitions, and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, and Mike, you're the one that mentioned this and got me thinking about this, but the amount of money being spent on this and how much of a fuss it's causing to get one more vote in the federal election and taking all that time and effort away from the things going on in Missouri that we should be more concerned about, in my opinion. I am very Missouri first, but I don't think that if the goal is at the federal level and it's not really going to do a whole lot to benefit us, then we should not be calling it Missouri first.
Well, it's Republican first.
Yeah.
With a capital R.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And I understand the argument. There's validity to the argument that says, that every vote is needed in Congress to stop the left-wing agenda.
Yes.
I totally get that. I'm not discounting it, but let's say that these reports I got, they're even close to true. Let's meet in the middle. $3 million spent on this. I don't know how many hundreds of thousands have been spent on lawsuits all around it. Now we're going to look at a big campaign for and against it in 2026, most likely, in addition to the following lawsuits. This one seat out of 435 could cost $10 million.
And I maybe went into the wrong kind of law.
Yeah. Hey, you can reactivate your license.
True.
Jump right back into
an election law.
We could be looking at $10 million spent. Now, a lot of that money not from Missouri. All of this because the political leadership in Washington, D.C., both parties have said, find a way. Politicians pick your voters instead of voters picking your politicians.
Yep.
And that's what we've got. Democrats started this whole shindig. Republicans have responded. And at least in Missouri right now, it looks like the Republicans are going to fall short, but we'll see what happens.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli, and my favorite sandwich from Capriati's is the Wagyu beef French dip. So good. It's the au jus that makes it. And the Wagyu beef is pretty good, too. I love Capriati's, and you will, too.
On Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
JC's Wayback Machine.
This week, it's more stuff from my exclusive Christmas library, including a hilarious interview with Harry Connick Jr.
Number one, if you could not sing when I'm talking. Okay, wow. I thought we established that.
Plus great tunes from the 90s, 80s, and 70s. Nobody in St. Louis radio is doing what we're doing, and it's all brought to you by the Weber Automotive Group.
It's JC's Wayback Machine. Every Saturday night, 6 to 9. News Talk STL.
Dr. Randy Tobler here, and I know that when you're looking for a dentist, you have to make sure you choose a dental practice that's compatible with you and the needs of your family. Well, I'd like to tell you about my dentist, Dr. Dan Cusimano, and his partner, Megan Dwyer, and their team at Advanced Dentistry at St. Charles. The great team at Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles can accommodate all of your cosmetic and restorative needs because their passion is general dentistry. Implants, crowns, bridges, even dentures. That what you need the most is what they'll provide in a personalized, focused way. And they can provide therapeutic and cosmetic options like Botox and dermal fillers. Get to know them and all they have to offer by calling 636-978-0226 or visit them on the web at advanceddentistrynow.com. That's Dr. Daniel Cusimano and Dr. Megan Dwyer at Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles.
That's Advanced Dentistry Now, 636-978-0226. Or visit them on the web at advanceddentistrynow.com.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new News Talk STL app.
On my way to work in the morning.
Usually I'm in the car.
I listen on the app in my car every morning going to work.
Download the News Talk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. Lower prices, bigger paychecks. One of the themes stressed by President Trump. A huge rally last night in Northeast Pennsylvania, suggesting that lowering prices is a work in progress. The president notes that prices have been falling for energy.
You know, our oil prices are coming down very substantially, energy prices. And honestly, with that, everything comes down because there's nothing nearly in the category of oil.
Mr. Trump says the Democrats are right when they scream that prices are too high. But Mr. Trump says that's a result of disastrous Biden economic policy, and it's taking some time to undo the damage. The daughter of Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado has accepted the Nobel Peace Prize on her mother's behalf. Her life threatened by the dictatorial Maduro regime, Machado has been in hiding since January. She was unable to risk the dangerous journey to Oslo to accept the award. Australia's ban on social media for teens is now in effect.
At a news conference in Sydney, attended by parents, stakeholders and grassroots campaigners, Australia's Prime Minister Anthony Albanese speaks of his pride as a world-first social media ban for children under 16 comes into effect across the country.
This is Australia showing enough is enough.
Albanese feels sure the reform will change lives. Experts have raised concerns about the enforceability of the policy. Platforms like Facebook and TikTok face hefty fines if they don't comply. I'm Charles Philadelphia.
It's called an atmospheric river. It has swamped the Pacific Northwest with flooding rains. Portland, Eugene, and Seattle among cities where the waters have been rising, spawning flooding of record proportions. Dow futures 19 points higher. The S&P futures are up 2. Townhall.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-524-4948. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-524-4948. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-524-4948. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-524-4948 or biglou.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch with your first alert forecast. We have issued a first alert weather day as we see the potential for strong winds gusting anywhere to 40 to 50 miles per hour throughout the morning to early afternoon hours today. Then we're going to be seeing mostly cloudy skies. Temperatures continue to fall through the afternoon hours as winds continue out of the northwest, starting to die off. Into Thursday, looking mostly cloudy. Could see some light snow off to the northeast. Most of that going to be staying out of the metro, not looking at any impacts for roadways. And we're cooling into the weekend. The First Alert for Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Jamie Ullman here with the great Eric Swanson of Newstetter's Fine Jewelers, Doherty Ferry and Big Bend. Tell me about Wow Diamonds.
Wow Diamonds. We call them that because when people come in and look at the diamonds, everyone says, wow. We feature those in natural diamonds, the mine diamonds. They're perfectly cut, polished, and proportioned. Not all diamonds come out of the cutting process the same, and ours are perfect. That's why they're called Wow Diamonds.
Newstetter's Fine Jewelers right there at Doherty Ferry and Big Bend, wowdiamonds.com.
This holiday season, help Feed My People fill the shelves. News Talk STL and the STL County GOP are partnering for an annual food drive, November 10th through December 21st. Drop off your non-perishable food donations at all Bartolino's restaurants, all Chris's Pancakes and dining locations, and all 3 Michael's flooring outlets, or at the News Talk STL studios.
Hey, it's Chris Arbs, and together, we can make a difference for families in need.
Visit NewsTalkSTL.com for complete drop-off locations. Mike Ferguson.
Is there anything in your life that is not Trauma Olympics?
Susie Moore.
Get out of here and stop playing victim.
Get up, St. Louis.
There's no crying in baseball.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up. This is your cousin.
All right. Illinois' governor doubles down on his fight against the feds and his fight for illegal aliens.
Wow.
That's where he's going with this. All right. And an area college renames its sports team, but just for a little bit. It's kind of funny how much media attention this is getting. It's just kind of different.
It's a very bizarre entire story, to be honest. I mean, the more I think about it, the more I'm questioning, like, who was the one that pitched this? And then who was the one that approved this?
Yeah. But you know what? We're talking about it. So we're giving them a live. I don't know. I'm curious what people think about it. It is 8:05 right now. Let's go ahead and get one more news dump in today.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out.
You know, I mean, they got all the news.
The morning news dump.
Okay. So by the way, that discussion about the new Missouri congressional map that's now in limbo, at the very least, we're going to have a conversation with State Senator Nick Schroer about that around 8:35. So he's likely got more details and more insight into what's coming down the road than we do. So 8:35, we'll have that discussion here. Okay, the U.S. Senate this week, they are going to vote on 2, not 1, but 2 competing healthcare proposals. Here's the story.
With COVID-era healthcare subsidies set to expire, senators will vote on a Democratic bill to extend the ACA tax credits for 3 years. This vote was promised during the government shutdown, but it lacks the bipartisan support needed for passage. Republicans have a plan that would replace the subsidies with new savings accounts. It, too, is likely to fail. As a result, millions of Americans are bracing for more expensive healthcare coverage. Greg Clugston, Washington.
And another way to say that is that people are bracing to deal with the full frontal reality of Obamacare and what it's done to our cost of healthcare.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where we go from here, because on the one hand, I don't want to see just another continuation and extension of all that. But at the same time, I'm not really seeing a whole lot that's going to be attractive enough to the opposition to really get them on board with it.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to pay the cost and pay the bills of a terrible, terrible economy and country changing decision that is Obamacare. And so one of the arguments, the mindset is, well, we've just gone too far. We got to figure out how to manage it, instead of what we should be doing is saying, how do we dissolve this, get rid of it, and replace it with something else? And I don't like the idea that, well, we got to go to the federal government for it. Federal government's got to have some kind of system, and that's why the argument, what's your plan? How about the plan is let the free market drive costs back down? Either way, of either of these two things that Greg described, the health insurance companies and the pharmaceutical companies come out like a bandit in both of them.
Mm-hmm.
So none of this is about us.
Yeah, I mean, part of the solution is also if Americans took better care of themselves, then that would reduce some of the burden. But once you get government involved in any program like this, and the insurance companies are the ones that are able to rake up the prices, I mean, we need to start getting more power to both the provider, the actual healthcare provider you'll be seeing, as well as the patient themselves.
Okay, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker signing a bill into law that prohibits, at least that's what they're saying, is prohibits federal immigration authorities from enforcement actions in or near courthouses and some other specified areas. So the governor celebrating his signing this says he's standing up to the big, bad, mean old feds.
Illinoisans, in the face of cruelty and intimidation, have chosen solidarity and support. That should not be overlooked. Donald Trump, Kristi Noem, and Gregory Bovino tried to appeal to our lesser instincts, but the best of us are standing up to the worst of them.
Okay, so two things. One, that is a presidential campaign stump speech.
Oh, yeah.
That's the way that's written. The law takes effect immediately, and Illinois claims that it prevents federal law enforcement from conducting enforcement operations in hospitals, on college campuses, or in daycare facilities, in addition to courthouses. So basically, they say our state law prevents the federal law enforcement from enforcing legitimate federal law. And that's what they're claiming.
And there are cases where I would support the state standing up to the federal government. This is not one of them. First of all, I'm surprised J.B. Pritzker can even stand. He's talking about standing up to people. I'm sure that he was leaning on something during that speech. And second of all, no, that this is treason, in my opinion. I mean, you are trying to actively stop the laws that have existed in the books for over 100 years at this point from being enforced. And in often cases, we keep finding how many of these illegals that they're catching are recidivists with very violent histories. So
and it shows you where the mindset of the left is, because he is appealing to the fringe left. Because I've got to think there's a lot of Democrats out there that are going, guys, I'm a Democrat. I like big social safety nets. I like some of these. I'm liberal on some, but come on, repeat illegal aliens. Of course, we've got to secure the border. There's got to be. And listen, if that's you need to speak up within your own circles on the left. You know, this is your party that's doing this.
And the fact that there are still citizens that would vote for somebody like J.B. Pritzker is just mind-boggling to me. You're not on the right side of history. Whatever grandiose hallucination you're having about where your place in history is, it's not there, J.B.
Yep. All right. The Trump administration facing a lawsuit seeking the immediate release of memo and other information that provides the legal justification that the administration says basically justified the U.S. military strikes on suspected drug boats. Reporter Bernie Bennett's got more.
The lawsuit was filed by the American Civil Liberties Union, the American Civil Liberties Union Foundation, and the Center for Constitutional Rights. The Department of Justice, including its Office of Legal Counsel, Department of State, and the Department of Defense, now named the Department of War, are listed as defendants. In the lawsuit, the ACLU said it was seeking the immediate release of the legal opinion authored by the Office of Legal Counsel concerning the U.S. military's claimed authority to carry out lethal strikes on civilian boats that the U.S. government asserts are carrying drugs. Bernie Bennett in Washington.
And by the way, in a recent interview, the president says he is open to military strikes, as in missile strikes, in Mexico, Colombia, and also Venezuela. That is a whole different thing when we're talking about bombing or hitting missiles in sovereign nations.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of the way that these boat strikes are going, but if we're going to shift focus to some of these compounds that are in Mexico where the actual narco terrorists are at, I could probably find a way in my heart to justify those.
All right. The U.S. military can resume the purge of gender dysphoric members.
Ooh.
Yeah. So a federal appeals court stayed a lower court's ruling, and that decision now allows Secretary Pete Hegseth to implement the policy of discharging servicemen and women who claim to be the opposite sex. The ruling was a split decision, with two Trump appointees ruling in favor of the policy. Some of the news copy I said the other judge was a Biden appointee. Susie, I think, pointed out that was an Obama appointee, but it was a Democratic appointee disagreeing with that. GLAD Law and the National Center for LGBTQ Rights say they will appeal. And let me just do a little side note on this. You'll notice that I don't use the same copy that you see on all of the news, including the conservative news, when they say, because basically what this copy was saying is that the Department of Defense / War, Pete Hegseth, can now remove transgender military personnel. Transgender is not a real thing. So I don't use that term. There's gender dysphoria, there's mental illness, there's, sexual kinks, there's whatever it is for you all. But I think we need to get back to demanding we use words that reflect truth.
Yes.
And that is a made up word. That is something that is just not real. You cannot, you can live however you want. If you're an adult, hey, I'll fight for your right to live however you want, not to inflict that on other people. People have the right to stick with truth, but I don't use that word. There is no single transgender person in history or alive today.
Yeah, biological sex is absolutely reality. We can quantify and we can observe that.
Yeah.
Gender is a made up feeling. And, and if the soldiers really want to serve that bad, I mean, I'm not saying to force people into the closet, but if you want to be a service member, but you also have this sort of thing going on, I don't see why you have to out yourself. I'm not, we're not hooking people up to lie detectors and asking them questions.
Right.
It's just maybe wait till you're out of service then.
Former St. Louis Circuit Attorney Kimberly Gardner now waits on a decision from an ethics committee. The Office of Legal Ethics and Counsel conducted a hearing Tuesday to determine if Gardner's unethical behavior should result in her losing her law license. This is not a criminal trial. This is whether or not she can still ever be a lawyer again. Gardner admits to using $5,000 of public money to pay a fine that she received from other unethical behavior. So her attorneys argue that she shouldn't lose her law license because she wasn't aware that what she did was against the law.
Okay, so on that ground alone, you should, if you don't know the law, you should not be practicing the law. And I don't mean to laugh because I don't like the abuse of authority here, but I mean, come on, this seems like it should be so cut and dry.
Yeah, you would think. So I don't know when a decision is going to be rendered. She's not practicing law now. I don't know that it changes her life. She was apparently going with a career change into nursing anyway. But still, if you have a law license, you want to be able to use it, but she's got a history of unethical and incompetent behavior and illegal behavior.
Yeah.
Well.
And ethics is a big part of law. And I mean, try that, go speed somewhere and say, I'm sorry, officer, I did not know the speed limit. I was going to look at it and see how quickly you still get your ticket.
All right. SIUE's teams will have dual identities during the 2026 sports season. The university announced that each Cougars team will compete as the 66ers at least once during the upcoming season. Every team, if it competes in sports at least once, they are the 66ers, not the Cougars. That is to commemorate the centennial historic Route 66, or as many people say, Route 66.
Yeah.
The first teams to compete under the alternative name and color scheme will be both the men's and the women's basketball teams. They will play Southern Indiana in Edwardsville. They will play as the 66ers on January 1st.
I see your indifference. Stop it right now before you blow us all away.
Well, there you go again, listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Hi, I'm Dr. Alan Link, owner of the Dental Link. You've heard ads about teeth in a day, but did you know that you'll be chewing on plastic, acrylic teeth? Here at the Dental Link, we can give you porcelain crown and bridge teeth utilizing mini dental implants that function much more like real teeth at about half the cost. Plus, mini dental implants are less invasive, less painful, and your recovery time is much shorter. Give us a call at 314-794-6464 or simply visit us today at thedentallink.com.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
That guy over there is Stan Clement from Roots Plus. Why is it when you cut down trees, nobody says timber?
Well, I hadn't thought about that. I guess it's like on the golf course. Most people don't yell for. I think it's after you make your drive.
Maybe that's the problem. I think look out would be a better warning than for.
Vic Porcelli, live and local, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Hey, how you doing? Santa Vic here.
And Santa's head, Vic head here.
And you can win some great prizes with News Talk STL's St. Louis Conservative Christmas.
You forgot the ho-ho-ho. You forgot the ho-ho-ho.
Oh!
No, ho-ho.
Log on to NewsTalkSTL.com for your chance to win great prizes from Ami's Pizzeria and Restaurant, Small Cakes Cupcakery and Creamery, and Gulf Shores Restaurant, Food Truck and Catering. NewsTalkSTL.com.
Oh!
Hey, Columbo here for Intervine, a great local company that has customers all across the country due to the quality of their products. Intervine has the best flashlights, lanterns, headlamps, and even batteries, including the new Monster 2000 Lumen waterproof lantern and the Sentinel 2000 self-defense flashlight. Our home and vehicles are full of great Intervine products, and right now you can shop their website and get 25% off your entire purchase just by using my name, Tony, as your promo code. That's promo code Tony at Intervine.com.
News Talk STL. Always streaming on your smart speaker, our mobile app, or newstalkstl.com.
The Mike Ferguson Show is one of my favorite programs. In addition to Larry Connor's USA, catch my program at 6. Now, back to Mike.
All right, I'm going to give everybody another swing at this one. We talked about it a little bit ago. An entire country now, as of today, has made it illegal for teenagers to be on social media. 15 and under. If you're 16, you can have a Facebook account or a TikTok account or an Instagram account or YouTube account. But in Australia, as of today, whatever I would say 8 hours ago, but whatever it was in their time zone over there, midnight today, kids 15 and under are no longer legally allowed to be on any social media platform. Not one. And 3/4 of the country, according to some surveys, agrees with that. Now, I don't know if they surveyed the kids or not, but over 1 million social media accounts. We're talking Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and Snapchat and YouTube. Over 1 million accounts were deleted overnight.
Wow.
Over 1 million gone like that. And so the law, couple different reasons. One, they say kids are not socializing. They're not getting face-to-face. They're not going outside. They're staring at their darn phone the whole time. We got that here.
Yeah.
And so they said, we have to reintegrate, kids from a societal basis. Also, there's obviously a lot of toxicity on social media. We see the negative effects. There are some good things on social media. Social media is a tool. It can be good. It can be bad. Depends what you want to make of it. But there's a lot of bad out there. So then there's a couple. So basically, I see two questions here, Jerome. And let me know what you think. Send us a note on social media or give me a call, 314-912-1019, whatever you want. And so here's what I'm thinking. Two questions. One, should kids, even at those ages, be kept off social media, period, overall? The second question is this really the job of government to pass a law in a criminal code? Because if a social media platform is caught giving a kid a handle, an account, they can be prosecuted and fined for this. And so you're looking at actual criminal damages for this if they do this. So one, there's the good or bad kids on social media. Two, role of government.
Yeah, and that's the duality. Because internally, to me, I mean, I don't like the government being involved if they don't have to. And I think I can count on one hand how many times I think the government should actually be involved with anything. But on the other hand, we do have an issue with poor parenting, and we do have an issue with the fact that a lot of social media is intentionally designed to be as addictive as possible, to be as time consuming as possible. And we've seen an evolution in some of these online communities, like the FBI Director Kash Patel's been pointing out, 764, they are a teen-based group that horrible, evil. I mean, it's disgusting what they're up to. And these are, again, tweens that are the ones that are the heads of these groups trying to prey on on children. So on one hand, if you're not going to raise your kid and there is a valid, and I'm not saying that this is maybe the argument, but if there is a valid reason for national security and the public safety element of it, then maybe that is a time when government can get involved with it. But that being said, I'm not sure. I know the data suggests that psychologically it's not good for children, but that's something I'm still on the fence about. Is it really the government? If you don't care enough about your kid to make sure that their online well-being is okay, should the government be punishing the kids of the parents that are like, hey, we just want you to be able to say good, happy birthday to grandma? This is
government doing more parenting. I think that, and then so the question is that the right role of it? So a couple things that you mentioned, we have enough information now. We have enough years under our belt now to know that there is an actual brain science behind these effects.
Yes.
And I've mentioned before, one of the professors at Washington University, Tim Bono, that's his name. I don't know if he's still at WashU, but he wrote a book a few years ago called When Likes Aren't Enough. and he teaches like some psychology and brain science type classes over at WashU, or at least he used to. And I did a couple interviews with him over the years, and it was really, really fascinating, just the brain science aspect of it, of the dopamine, of the addictive nature of it, and the psychological things as to how young people view themselves, because they tend to compare themselves to other people on social media, which is why you get so many influencers that just make up crap, and pretend they have a lifestyle they don't have, because that's what's marketable. And that's all garbage. And it is bad. And in an ideal, perfect world, the parents are the gatekeepers.
Yeah.
Australia has decided the government is the gatekeepers. So I agree with the premise that, you know what, maybe kids need to be off of social media. I totally get it. But the libertarian in me, the conservative in me, always worries about government overreach, even if you're trying to do a good thing. So I've got mixed feelings on it. I just, at the bottom line, don't like the government being the one to do it. Now, I think if you're going to do it, then you do it the way they've done it, which is target the companies, and you don't prosecute a kid for setting up a social media account. I mean, it's so, and some kids are going to lie. Other kids are going to go get VPNs. They're going to figure, or somebody's going to create an underground social media, and it's going to be hellacious and a lot worse than what's out there now.
I was just about to say, when I was a kid, there was the older kids that had access to like cigarettes, and they'd say, "Hey kid, I'll sell you one." But now it's gonna be like, "Hey kid, I got to log in. Do you want, do you want an account?" But going in specifically more the social media, like the TikTok kind of trend type things. I mean, there are hundreds of kids that have died trying to emulate trends. Some of these are intentionally designed to be dangerous trends, just to because there are sick people out there.
Sick, yeah.
But I guess on the other hand, because when we were talking about this a little bit earlier, it looks like video game communities are not going to be affected. And the whole idea is we're trying to keep children safe because their parents are not involved in their lives enough to help them learn how not to engage in what is essentially self-harming behaviors. Then we need to keep them safe this way. But social media is part of online gaming as well. And so Discord is one of those places where it didn't sound like that was going to be affected, but that's where
Susie looked it up. The online games are not affected by this. This is only the social media platform.
And so in America, Roblox, for example, the Attorney General, I think it was of Louisiana, finally did a lawsuit against them because they are not protecting kids. And it's a well-known open secret in the gaming communities that is where a lot of child predators are hanging out, and a lot of the most gruesome people are using that platform to then recruit them to go onto Discord so they can talk privately, and then that's where they
remind me what Discord is.
So
I'm sorry, I'm actually truly I don't know.
Okay, so you know what Facebook Messenger is, right?
Right.
It's like that, but it's a standalone without the Facebook. So
Okay,
it's like a private.
It's a messenger service.
Yeah, and you can make your own group chats and servers, and
okay.
Yeah, so a lot of people are. But that's sort of that's what we've observed from some of these horrendous groups is that. It's not that they're going on Facebook or Instagram or, TikTok, it happens a lot, but that's a whole other beast. But they are using video game platforms where there are going to be kids. They're going to, where it's an online socialization thing. They gain your trust. They take you to one of these private platforms. And then that's where they start to try to groom and abuse you.
Can you go after the bad guys without going after the platform? So like, could you say, I'm going to go after in the physical world, I'm going to go after the kidnapping creep in the trench coat, but I'm not going to shut down the city park to do it.
In the digital space, I'm not 100% sure that's a possibility due to the nature of, again, using VPNs, anonymous accounts, having what are called sock puppet accounts. So you can have 7 or 8 different accounts. So you find who I am on this one account that you think's me. You take that one down. Well, I'm right back here, or it's a group of people sharing an account. Right. Mm-hmm. And so the way to get around that is to have to work with the companies to say, what are your community guidelines? What is your moderation process? If somebody is being harassing, if they're jumping into these online groups and they are harassing people, they're flooding them with spam images, they're doing all this, abrasive behaviors. It's not good for the users of the community. If they get reported, what's the consequence going to be? And then that's where the gray zone comes in is how much punishment should there be for that? Should it just be, you can no longer access the service, or should it be, we are going to cut off your entire internet access at that point?
By the way, here's what it means to us. Like, for instance, Newsmax is reporting today that there's a push in the United States to impose social media restrictions. So what's happening in Australia or other countries, there are lawmakers and policymakers here saying, let's see how that works. Maybe there ought to be a law here. So while we're talking about Australia, we're really talking about how should it be here?
Great Britain's a great example too. They have their own firewall now where you have to do ID verification and picture verification to prove you are who you say you are and that you're the age. So there are times when people have been posting screenshots where you go to a website like YouTube or X or any of these other sites that you've been using all these times or for all this time, and now it says this content is restricted in your area. Verify your identification to have it revealed. And a lot of times it's not even like not safe for work content. It's just stuff that they don't want people not to be able to access. And I think that's a consequence of a globalist economy, is that if you have a corporation and you're like, well, we're going to be losing some users in this country because of our content policy in America, why don't we implement and make it a little bit more friendly for them so we don't lose that clientele base and we don't lose the advertising and we don't lose that sort of grip we have on our market. And from a corporate mindset, that makes sense, but that's where corporations and liberty are not always in line with their values.
Yeah, I think I've sent in one documentation back. There was a little while ago that we thought Getter was going to be the next big conservative thing. It turned out to be a flop. But they actually, to verify your identity, you had to actually upload a copy of your ID to do that, which I really felt weird about. But I'm like, I think Getter's going to be a big Getter turned out to be nothing. I mean, I've got my account. I haven't even looked at it in probably 2 years because it was a joke. It turned out to be nothing. But when you look at the others out there, the bad guys are going to find a way around it. And we know some kids are going to find a way around it. How effective is the technology to actually keep most of the 15 and under kids off of this? I mean, you can pass the law, but can you enforce it and can you get the desired outcome?
I cannot imagine them being able to Australia being able to implement this without it turning into the Britain way of doing it, where it affects everybody, regardless of how old you are. And me, I mean, I'm 30. I'm not going to give any more information to these corporations that I need to. I mean, if that means going and finding another outlet or going to another place, so be it. But I do not think that there is going to be a way to only keep the tweens offline. If they've been honest, because again, a lot of tweens they're not very honest sometimes.
I mean, if I see a typical 14-year-old and I've got a question about my phone, they're going to know more about it than I will, most likely.
Oh yeah.
They're going to be able to guide me through it. That's just the way it is.
Now, Republicans are calling it the Missouri First Congressional Map. Democrats hope to call it Dead in the Waters. So what's next in the battle over partisan supremacy in the Show Me State? Well, Senator Nick Schroer is going to update us on that at 8:35 coming up.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Meteorologist Shan Scotch with your first alert forecast. We have issued a first alert weather day as we see the potential for strong winds gusting anywhere to 40 to 50 miles per hour throughout the morning to early afternoon hours today. Then we're going to be seeing mostly cloudy skies. Temperatures continue to fall through the afternoon hours as winds continue out of the northwest, starting to die off. Into Thursday, looking mostly cloudy. Could see some light snow off to the northeast. Most of that going to be staying out of the metro, not looking at any impacts for roadways. And we're cooling into the weekend. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shan Scott.
Fox News commentary with Guy Benson. Next.
I'm alpine skier Michaela Schifrin. I've won the most World Cup ski races in history. But what does success mean to me? Success means discipline. It's teamwork. It's the drive and passion inside of us. And it's why Stifel is one of the fastest growing global wealth management firms in the country. If you're looking for success, surround yourself with the people who will get you there. If you're an advisor or investor, choose Stifel, where success meets success.
Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated. Member SIPC and NYSE.
Past performance is no indication of future results. Investing involves risk. Consult a financial advisor before making any investment decisions.
Here's Guy Benson.
There is a certain type of immigrant who gets like this generational life lottery ticket to come to the United States and to build a life here. And yet they seem to devote themselves to whining and griping about all the sins of this country and all of our flaws, real and made up, criticizing us, talking about all the racism and systemic whatever. It's like, look at what you've been saved from. I think gratitude as the overwhelming factor is in order. Not saying you can't have opinions, you can't be critical in any way, can't strive to improve our society or whatever, can't run for office. I'm not saying that. But I feel like just an overwhelming love of the country and gratitude to be here should be leading the way, and that is not the case.
For more commentary like this, go to foxnewspodcast.com.
Looking for an underwater adventure or a scaly new friend? Dive into Tropical World Pets on Watson Road. For 32 years, this family-owned wonderland has been St. Louis's go-to destination for all things aquatic and reptilian. With over 7,000 square feet of aquariums, we're home to the area's largest selection of freshwater fish, including rare cichlids you won't find anywhere else. But that's not all. We've got tarantulas, snakes, and lizards galore. Tropical World Pets, 314-849-4020, or visit twpstl.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on NewsTalkSTL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you're testing your blood sugar 4 or more times per day, injecting insulin 3 or more times per day, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetic Health Hotline today.
800-515-2380. That's 800-515-2380. Paid for by U.S. Med.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
I listen to News Talk STL on the app driving to work.
Download the News Talk STL app.
You got to get the News Talk STL app.
Love the app. Can listen anywhere in St. Louis.
And listen anytime.
News Talk STL right on my phone.
Anywhere.
Hey everyone, this is State Senator Nick Schroer. I am the host of Stand and Fight every Sunday night. Right now, let's hear more of Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show here on News Talk STL.
Okay, so the left may have stopped the new congressional districts map in Missouri.
Oh,
yeah, there's the what we're assuming based on the media reports and based on what we're hearing, and then let's dig out whether that's actually the case. And if they did stop it, it's for now.
So this is not the end of the battle.
I don't think it's the end of the battle. And we are now joined by State Senator Nick Schroer, award-winning State Senator Nick Schroer, I may add as well here. First appearance since his national award, because, you know, he's got agents now and there's a security detail and we've got to be, we've got to be vetted and all this sort of thing. Now, Nick, okay, so let's go through what is and what is not, or what maybe, because there's so many different angles to this. So the People Not Politicians group, the left-wing group, they turn in 300,000+ signatures. Even if the 92,000 that Denny says, or Secretary Hoskins says is invalid, and I think he's right, it looks like they've still got that 107,000 valid signatures. As we understand the law to it right now, we're under the impression that this puts this on the ballot in 2026, and by default keeps the same maps for the 2026 elections until voters decide one way or the other. What's accurate? What's not? What's in the middle of that from a law perspective?
Well, there is a lot to be discussed, and I'm going to try to sum it up briefly. We've got some horrible winds right now, so if my service goes down or is bad, just let me know, stop me, and I can call back. But essentially, the Missouri First map that we passed, that I was the first one back in 2022 offering on the floor before Donald Trump was even president. This map will go into effect 12:01 a.m. on Thursday, December the 11th. So midnight, it's going to go into effect. The signatures, as you stated, were turned in, but according to Missouri law, they've got at least, the Secretary of State's got at least 2 weeks to scan those signatures in and then hand them over to all of the county clerks and local election officials, who are then going to go through the process of verifying them. On or before December 23rd, the Secretary of State, I believe, is going to have those signatures scanned in to give the local authorities access. Now, this is where it gets a little bit goofy. Missouri law states that these clerks and election authorities have until July of next year, towards the end of July 28th of next year, to verify these signatures. But the federal court, there was Judge Limbaugh who said, hey, this case that the Attorney General filed was not ripe yet until the signatures are verified. So we could hear next to nothing for many months until we get close to that July or August timeframe. And then I think you're going to see the Attorney General filing a lawsuit saying, well, wait a second, the Constitution clearly lays out with redistricting that the legislature is in charge of that. And there's no mechanism whatsoever for the people to have a referendum on that like they do with certain types of legislation. This is wholly separate and aside. It's entirely different than passing a policy bill. And there's a strict process laid out in the Constitution, and even lots of case law that is on point with the redistricting process. So I think the Attorney General around that time is going to file her lawsuit again, saying that this is the wrong mechanism. This is unconstitutional to allow them to do this. And this is going to be on top of the whole process of verifying the signatures. With those signatures, like you've laid out, you've got the signatures that were collected prior to this thing even being relevant. And then you've got all of the chaos that ensued with videos from Congressman Mark Alford, Mike Moon, many others, grassroots individuals, even some of the workers that have come forward saying, yeah, we didn't hand out all of the evidence that we were supposed to, all of this proof of what we were trying to do. So there's a lot to be said as to whether this is going to ultimately be the map that we have after next year. But for the time being, at least until July of next year, the Missouri First map is going into effect.
Yeah, see, and that's what's being reported. Otherwise, is they're saying, well, the signature's there, so therefore it's on hold. So if you're wanting to run for office, for Congress, Bob Onder, Ann Wagner, Wesley Bell, Emmanuel Cleveland, whoever it is, what do they file? I mean, for which district do they file once all of that window opens up?
Well, you're still going to run. Like Bob Onder's still going to run for his.
Right.
Ann Wagner's still going to run for hers. Those numbers aren't going to change. And at least for the time being, the Cori Bush, Wesley Bell seat, because of the Voting Rights Act, is going to remain in effect. The Kansas City side is where it gets a little bit different. I know Mark Alford's got some changes to his. Even Bob Onder's got some changes to his. I know Susie Moore was talking about, let's just get geographically, let's have a map that makes sense. And honestly, the Missouri First map is the one that does so, because under the current map, before this goes into effect, the changes that we made, we split Boone County, we split Warren County, we split St. Charles County, the fastest growing county in the state of Missouri. We split all of these good counties in half because the Democrats wanted us to. And we wanted to avoid it. Not me. I didn't care about it. I offered the map that we ended up passing. But essentially, we were trying to avoid a filibuster. The leadership back then was trying to avoid a filibuster. So there are some changes geographically. And the question is, where do you concentrate your politicking? Where do you concentrate your door knockers? Where do you go to the events? And that's going to be something that these congressmen or people wanting to become a congressperson are going to have to balance out.
So is there going to be an urgency for the legal process to move faster? Just seems to me that we can't decide what the maps are going to be in July, that we've got to have something sooner than that.
Yeah, I think essentially in the state of Missouri, these districts are at large. So if you're on the Kansas City side and you want to run for Bob Onder's seat here in St. Charles County, you could do that. It's not going to look good when it comes time for election season, but you can do that. So there's not necessarily the urgency to figure this out like there would have been in state house districts or state senate districts where you have to live within your geographical boundaries. There is going to be some urgency once we get into that July, after the signatures are verified. Whenever that happens, I think you're going to see a lot of urgency because the Attorney General will then, pursuant to the decision from Judge Limbaugh saying, look, this is not moot until these signatures are verified. Once that happens, there's going to be some urgency because you've only got roughly a month until the primaries occur. So I think you're going to see some judicial expediency when it comes to deciding that case, if and when it's refiled, and I think it will be. But for the time being, there is a process, even though I believe, just like the Attorney General, just like many others who opined on this issue, I think that the process that is there now does not apply when it comes to redistricting. I think this referendum process is wholly separate from the redistricting process, and that's laid out in the Constitution. So if you're relying upon the redistricting or the referendum process, that's already got a process that is laid out and ending in July. So I don't think you're going to see any expediency when it comes to to that process due to the fact that there are a lot of allegations with this company, this out-of-state company that has been sued countless times in other states and actually has been proven to be forging signatures, doing criminal activities in other states. So I think they're going to turn over every single stone and making sure these signatures, every single one of them, is legit.
Yeah, and that leads to where I wanted to ask you about the, obviously a lot of accusations on the petitioners, and many of them are from out of state. There were donations that came from out of state as well. Are there any accusations? I mean, if they're forging signatures, that's clearly one thing.
Right.
But was all of the accusations, like we talked to Trisha Burns the other day about this, were any of the things that they're being accused of actually in violation of the law? And the follow-up question is, okay, do we need to look at the laws regulating referendum and petitions? Because you got a First Amendment issue in addition to a state interest issue.
Yeah, there are a lot of allegations, whether it's intimidation, harassment, but the key one, I believe, is them not showing when people ask, what am I signing? Let me see the law that's actually going into effect, because the ballot summary is not necessarily what is going to be changed, whether it's a referendum or a ballot initiative. And by law, they're required to show and have on them at all times for every single voter a copy of exactly what's being changed. And I know that has been a key issue for many people across the state, saying, look, I asked for what I'm signing. They couldn't produce it. And then they just disappear. There's some property rights issues as well, because even here in St. Charles County, there were many cases, Darden Prairie, Lake St. Louis, O'Fallon, where law enforcement was called to kick these people off of grocery store parking lots, outlet parking lots, just storefronts. And by the time they got there, they're gone. But the question is, are those signatures that they collected at that time while they were breaching private property rights, are those going to be valid? So there are a lot of legal questions here. This company knows exactly what they're doing. AMT has come from out of state. They've come into all of these different Republican states trying to overturn what we, the people, we voted in elected officials here in the state of Missouri. We have a supermajority Republican Party. We've been trying to get this map done. The people knew exactly what they were voting for when they chose these elected officials. And now you have these out-of-state billionaires trying to change the people's votes, trying to influence the election without ever stepping foot here. And I think that's just wrong.
Okay, Nick, let me give you a chance to respond to something that I've said a few times on the air, because you may disagree with me on this, is that when this is all said and done, once this goes through the process and whether it goes to the ballot in November or not, it's possible $10 million could be spent on one seat out of 435 in the country. To me, that just shows that Washington has way too much power if every one single seat is worth millions and millions and millions of dollars. And two, that just to me strikes of, this is more about the partisan supremacy than anything else.
Well, there are a couple cases that I've been involved in, some with Rick Pogue, where we have to set a precedent, and it's all principle. And when you look around the United States, the Democrats are continuously fighting us with a different set of rules than what we have. And it takes one state with courage to stand up and say, we're done taking this. I know Texas is doing it. Indiana's in the process of doing it. We've done it, stepping up, saying, oh, if you guys want to fight fire with fire, we're going to do the same thing. And ultimately, those little brush fires of liberty that are set in all of these states that are growing a spine, it's pushing all of these other states to do the same thing, or at least start questioning, yeah, maybe we can punch back. Maybe we don't have to turn the other cheek when we're getting acid thrown in our faces time and time again, and our constitutions are being shredded. So I do think, yes, this is going to cost. That's what our legal system is there for, to fight fire with fire. And they're playing by a different set of rules. They're operating using a mechanism that's not meant for this process, not meant for redistricting. And, regardless of whether it's my heartbeat bill that I passed back in 2019, or the new Amendment 3, or this ballot process, or the initiative petition process, they're always going to challenge what we're doing. And it's not necessarily Democrats in the state of Missouri. It's the Democrats that are outside of the state of Missouri. Some are even in Switzerland funding this thing. So at some point, we're going to have to stand up. We're going to have to stand and fight, not just Sunday nights between 6 and 8 p.m., but, every single day that we, take that oath of office and go into the Capitol, there's targets on our back, figuratively. And you know what? Go to my social media. There are people wishing me death on a daily basis that I've had to turn over to law enforcement. And it just comes with the territory. We're going to have to stand and fight if we're going to change the tune in politics.
Yeah, that's a fair answer. That's a fair response to frankly, me. Okay, we're a little over time, but let me just grab another minute here, Nick. The argument that we're seeing, social media, mainstream media, like, independent, the Missouri Independent, follow them on Blue Sky.
So funded.
Yes, exactly. So the argument, here you are, you Republicans, you are subverting the will of the people. 300,000 signatures. Why can't you let the people speak? Here you are. And they talk about Amendment 3 and all the others, the Rowden Amendment, which is what I call it. But they're like, there you are, subverting the will of the people. So in this particular case, what's the talking point that Republicans and conservatives can have to respond to that accusation?
Well, it's the same one every single time that one of these referendums pop up. Right? Remember Clean Missouri? Dirty Mo that we used to call it. I mean, people had zero idea what they were signing. And I know in my previous House district, a ton of people we had to send to the Secretary of State. And essentially, once we educated them on what they were signing, that's one of the changes that we made, that you have to hand over all of what is going to be changed, not just on the ballot. They overturned that, and we gave it back to the people to vote on. Look, the people, again, back in 2022, we kept pushing for this. There was a lot of talk, even going into my Senate race in 2022, that we would try again. And we had the ability to do it again once we had new leadership. That new leadership came, and we're going to continue to fight. If the people are sick and tired of what they're seeing in Jefferson City, they've got two choices. Elect people like me who are going to change and give you the actual conservative movement that you want. And I think that's what's going to happen. Or they can start voting for the Democrats who want to allow people to change their sexes at 10 years old and allow men and women's bathrooms and increase your taxes like we're seeing in New York, and the list goes on. So there's the closest to the ground, the ones closest to educating voting on are the Republicans.
Yep, and there's the wind that's messing with the connection there. So, Nick, appreciate that. Obviously, Stand and Fight and St. Charles Patriot Radio this weekend here on News Talk STL as well. Nick, appreciate the update.
God bless you, boys. Have a good week.
All right. Yeah, and that was a fair answer to push back against my question, which is what I do here. That was a good answer. I mean, it was. And so I think a lot of people I think a lot of people who are not really passionate about Republican or Democrat, I think a lot of people are frustrated with all of the chaos.
Yeah, it's never a good look. But what is good is that every Friday we play your Flashback Friday 80s themed bum music requests. So go ahead and send me an email to Jerome at NewsTalkSTL.com, as well as the time that you usually listen, so you can actually hear when we play your request.
Tim Jones here to let you know that as we deal with old man winter, have no fear. Hanson's Tree Service is here to take care of your homestead, your business, and everything else throughout the winter months. Hanson's is offering 10% off all their tree care services, fully described at hansonstree.com for everyone in News Talk STL Nation. That's 10% off all tree care, pruning, grinding, and land clearing, and more. Hanson's also, of course, has plenty of fantastic organic mulch to protect all your landscape beds during the mean months ahead. No job too big or too small for Hanson's. 24/7 available at hansonstree.com. That's hansonstree.com.
Are the days of a personal doctor gone? Not at Body of Health Direct Primary Care. I'm Dr. Randy Tobler to share how our design is putting the care back into healthcare. Plain and simple, our members, not insurance companies, get our exclusive focus. That means same or next day appointments, responsive answers to your concerns, and a no-spin, big tool chest approach. It's about time you get serious time devoted to your medical needs. To learn about healthcare the way it ought to be, schedule a discovery call today at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
If you're worried about losing your health insurance through Medicaid, we have great news for you. New government regulations have expanded the Affordable Care Act. And now you may qualify to get health insurance for you and your family through the Affordable Care Act. Call now to learn if you qualify. We know the healthcare regulations regarding Medicaid, and we've helped thousands of people find quality, affordable health insurance. Plus, all our research is free to you. So call us. With just one call, we'll shop from hundreds of different insurance companies to find you the right affordable health insurance plan. So if you're worried about losing your Medicaid insurance, call right now. Speak with a licensed agent and find how you may qualify for a new health insurance plan.
800-479-0931. 800-479-0931. 800-479-0931. That's 800-479-0931. Paid for by the Health Insurance Hotline.
Colombo and Company.
Redistricting back at the forefront of local news, along with the latest push for a statewide red flag law, we'll discuss Wednesday with Mo Political Insider Rodney Boyd, plus Danny Define at Closest Cabinet.
Live and local weekdays at 2 on NewsTalk STL.
Hi, it's Vic Porcelli.
And Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Hey, Vic.
Ken and I are on every Monday through Friday here on News Talk STL. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Whoosh, my morning, people.
One of the observations that I've made recently, we talk about like really crucial stuff that people know is important, is that if you are not a passionate Republican with a capital R, passionate Democrat with a capital D, or you're not passionate like conservative or left or thing like that, you're just a normal person, who may lean right or lean left or even be really conservative or far left, whatever it is. But that's not your main thing. If you're one of those people, and I suspect that's a lot of people, a third or more, maybe the majority of people who say, I just want to live my life. I'm going to try to pay attention because I want good people elected, but I'm not going to live every day thinking about politics.
Yeah.
I'm not going to live every day thinking about policy. I'm not going to live every day thinking about the wonky stuff. I'm not going to do all that. And I think that may be the majority of people. It's not that they don't pay attention, but they don't live their life for it. And I think that just from conversations I've had, including one I had yesterday, you've got smart people, informed people, normal people who are just irritated with the chaos and being pulled both ways and saying, you've got to prioritize this in their life. And they're saying, I got to think about retirement. I want to go on vacation. My kid's got a thing at school. I want to upgrade the house. I don't want to worry about the bill that's in the subcommittee in whatever. I'll vote for the people I think can do the good job. That's what a Republic is. But I think in things like this map redistricting whole thing, I think a lot of people are rightly looking at, well, both parties are doing it. Now, the Republicans are responding to the Democrats. That's 100% true, like Nick was pointing out. But I think the normal human being out there, the normal family man, the normal family woman, the normal up-and-coming professional, they just see this as chaos. And I think they're sick of trying to be pushed one way or the other, or being told you've got to feel passionately about this thing when really what we're talking about is representation of political parties.
No, absolutely. Especially in terms of the average person, they want to know what's affecting them and what they need to know to adjust accordingly to live their lives. I would say is probably the majority of the people's views on politics. So when something arises, it doesn't feel like it needs to be done. That is potentially going to affect your life via use of your tax funds, right, or other being told you need to care about something that you really don't have to, care about. I think that leaves a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths.
Yeah. And it's not even that they don't care. They just don't want it to be their full or part-time job. But the more we expand government in Washington, D.C., in Jefferson City, in Springfield, in Clayton, in the City Hall, the more that the trend of government, it's the old phrase, government expands, liberty contracts.
Yes.
And at some point, you're forced to defend yourself. You are forced into political and economic self-defense. And that goes back to where we started at 6:30 this morning with Brandon Arnold from the National Taxpayers Union that says Florida is on average picking up a new resident every 2 minutes because people are fleeing big government, high tax states. People are literally leaving their communities, in many cases, their jobs, in order to relocate where government will leave them alone the most. So the phrase of as government expands, liberty contracts is very, very real. And if we focused on limiting government, here's the libertarian in me coming out again, a lot of these issues wouldn't be issues because government would be kicked back into its lane.
Rhino Shield is engineered to outlast paint, formulated to outsmart the elements. Rain or shine, sleet or snow, mold or mildew. Our home exterior coatings intelligently designed to stand up to Mother Nature.